What's up, dudes? What the flick is up? Such a weird thing. The spamming of the L. L, 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 L. Why is that, though? What are you? An alphabetist? Huh. Looks like you do music. Well, why spam? Oh well. Anyways, see you in 24 hours. We'll do it one more time and you're gone for good. What's up, guys? Your Insta story post about going live and got so excited. Well, welcome. We're good to see you. I'm glad someone saw it. I wonder if there's any way to... I guess I can just move it over here, huh? For the Twitch chat. I gotta really familiarize myself with Twitch. Not that it's that big a deal, but it's a little bit confusing. Anyways, go follow me over there. It's pinned in the chat. Wart. I was going to go see Nosferatu before the stream. I went to dinner with a friend and the food took so long that we didn't have time to go to it. Were you happy that TikTok was banned? I mean, it's not anymore. I was a little bit excited for it, mainly just because I've had, no success on there, so I didn't really care one way or another. And I remember seeing some comment somewhere where it was like, where am I supposed to learn? Like on fucking TikTok, and I'm like, TikTok and learning? That's like saying like McDonald's gets banned and you're like, where am I supposed to exercise? But all they do is shovel fucking Big Macs down their throat. What did I eat? It was steak. It was really good. It's always interesting when you go to a restaurant you haven't been to in a while and they actually like have gotten better. TikTok is so visual, you're not showing visuals. Yeah, I tried a little bit, with art. Tried some with like the Minecraft, like parkour stuff, all that kind of stuff. But none of it really took off. And I don't know if it's because I just like wasn't quick enough. TikTok is designed to keep a person's face if they face phone. Wait, what are you saying? What's up, guys? 10 sets of McBurpees, yeah. Yeah, no. It is what it is. I don't really understand what the purpose of extending the ban by 75 days. Like, and obviously we've chatted about how like people were speculating that Meta was going to buy it or something. Which it really does seem like Trump is becoming bestest buds with like every form of social media and like tech, which is kind of fascinating. I'm curious, like where all that sort of like lobbying money comes and goes, or how that all works. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's some degree of benefit to the American people. I see Elon do the Zig Heil. Yeah, dude, I was like, what? What are you doing? I mean, I know that he was just doing the whole like my heart goes out to you thing or whatever, but it was also, I'm like, it looked really bad the first time, and it's like, Elon, please. A second time is not necessary. I don't know. I don't know, man. The nice thing about this like election cycle is that I think most people are kind of desensitized to the division at this point. Like, sure, sure it's going to be there. Sure, people are going to call each other like naughty names and all that kind of stuff, but I think most people are just kind of like, they've heard it a million times in a row. And I don't know, in my mind, I feel like most people's energy, as long as they're not like completely mentally ill, are honestly, are going to get along, and communicate and not make as many like divisive decisions the way they did previously. That was a Sieg Heil, no mistake, did it twice. Yeah, but I mean, like, why though? That's the question. It's like, because there's a lot of like, because you're leaving it up to interpretation on whether he did that thing, right? But what would be the purpose of doing that? And someone would say like the dog whistle, but like people always say dog whistle all the time. That doesn't mean anything. Like unless the individual like outright comes out saying like, I love Hitler, then stop saying the word dog whistle like it has any sort of like value or it somehow is like a appropriate like analysis of a situation. Because I mean, I just don't really get it. You know what I mean? What's the point of Sieg Heiling? Like when AOC and Hitler made this, or Hillary, it's a Hitler. Hillary made the same gesture. I mean, right? Who like it's just another one of these like divisive social commentary things where someone interprets it as something else, and we have to sit here and like go, oh blah 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 blah. This is it. This is the end of the world, guys. This is it. This is where they show their true colors, and everyone gets thrown in the chambers. Just go outside. There's lots of outside. I know it's winter, but there's so much grass. It's so beautiful out there. Can you back and read my comment? I ain't typing it again. Okay, let me see. I don't know if I can find it. Have I played Halo? Yeah, it's a tough one to type out. Yes, Halo was my shit back in the day. Halo 1 was like, blew my mind. Like having Halo, especially not having a PlayStation from N64, was like, just crazy. Just fucking crazy. There was a dog whistle in your home sometime. Snitched on me when I finished off the ice cream. Tweet! Tweet, tweet, tweet! I was sure, Maya, that it's beautiful outside. That's true. It might be. Don't go outside if there's wildfires burning your entire city down. Stay very close to the color blue. Your lives are a trip. I've learned to not get high and watch. You will be taken on an adventure of the mind as we talk about people that don't care about us and never will care about us, but we watch it for entertainment and argue about it like it's a fucking soap opera. How cold was it there today? It was 5. Yeah, it's been in the single digits and negatives here in old Pennsylvania. We're getting global cooling, aka winter. Have you seen the Passports Don't Burn? I've heard about that. They are, is it a documentary? Probably referencing the 9/11 stuff and, I guess, whatever happened with that guy that blew himself up in front of the Trump Tower. Jolson, Cali, some snow. Yeah, I heard there was some snow down in, like, Louisiana, which is pretty crazy. Hey Joel, are the podcast stories different than the ones on your YouTube channel? They are not different, no. They are basically ones that are on the YouTube channel, but I don't know exactly why, but they're a year apart. And then they get remastered and put over there in a big compilation. What games do you want or plan to stream next? Well, I'm definitely going to finish the DLC for, Little Nightmares DLC. I don't know, honestly. I guess it's just kind of like decided on the fly, but I also haven't, is there DLC for Little Nightmares 2? Because I don't think I did that one either, so maybe I'll just go right into that to stay consistent. I just love those games because I love the gameplay in general. I love experimenting with like the different ways your character dies just because it's like always unique and interesting. The art style's great, and the fact that I can kind of just like turn my brain off and actually chat with you guys. Like if I had to play like Marvel Rivals, it'd be like completely impossible. Nobody makes the best counterfeit passports like the deep state. What even is the deep state? How does one define said state? And how deep are we talking? 8 inches? 12? Oh, you got 8 inches of snow in Louisiana. Hours of snow falling. It was wild. Was that the first time you've ever seen snow? Because that is crazy. I love playing Little Nightmares. I gotta start playing again. It's a great one to revisit for sure. Do I have snow? Yeah, it's very snowy outside. And this is honestly some of the snowiest it's been in Pennsylvania in a decent while. Like BlackRock, 20 trillion in investment inches. Yeah, that was one of the curious things, was like you have the fires in the Palisades, right? All the insurance companies have already bailed. So now people come back to their homes completely charred. They can't communicate with insurance companies. And then, randomly, BlackRock just shows up and they're like, screw it. Fuck your house. We'll buy the land from you. You know what I mean? But it just implies so much, you know what I mean? Either they're like opportunistic, which would make some sense, in the same way that you could kind of say with like COVID and like buying people's houses out with like cash. But if it's any deeper than that, man, like the actual coordination, especially the fact that like the whole redistribution of like water. Oh my God, fucking what's his name? Gavin Newsom, like juggling his head back and forth like he was like giddy about the fires. Dude, if I lived in California, I would get the fuck out as soon as possible. That place does not seem to care about you, care about human life one bit. But hey, I guess that's just how it goes in the span of humanity. You just gotta look out for yourself. Do I still have TikTok? I guess I don't personally, I don't have the app on my phone and I don't use it, but I think I have like 2 TikTok accounts that other people run that did like shorts for a while, so you might be able to find those. You moved your family from California to North Carolina. Hopefully not near where the hurricane came through there either. Jesus Christ. But I'm glad you got out. I don't know. I mean, even just the taxes in general. Dude, state tax, right, in Pennsylvania is, I think, 3.1%. I could be wrong. State tax in California is like 13%. Like I just cannot imagine. I mean, paying taxes in general, like as a content creator, is terrible because it's like you got to pay quarterly, and it's always like a big chunk of change, and it just, you know, it's not like immediately taken out of your paycheck the way most people's would be. So you actually have to like hand it over to the government, and it makes you dislike them even more because what the fuck are they doing with your money? Whenever you could like literally be buying properties or fucking like investing it or helping your friends or, you know, living life maybe. I don't know. Sales tax is over 9. That's crazy. Thought about getting Red Note. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, and I probably won't, especially if it's just another like Chinese spyware app. You know what I mean? Like how many times do they have to see my dick pics? Come on. Don't you got enough? All right. We're going to switch it over to our reading screen and get cozy. We got some cult stories tonight. Hopefully these ones will be better. The last ones we did were kind of like, a lot of them were from 4chan, and they were kind of meh, you know what I mean? What would you do if your grandma keeps saying she's taller than you when she's not? Yeah, I'd have to knock her ass out. Put her in her place. She can't be talking that shit. And she knows liars go to hell. Just kidding. My grandma can do whatever she wants, whenever she wants. She is the queen. Migrad, thank you for the 2. Boy. The bird is the word. I don't know what kind of info the CCP would gather from me. Red Note is cool with me. Yeah, what is it? What are you doing there? Is it just another TikTok with like brain rot? Or is it like, what are you doing there? I own my second home and pay like $6,000 a year on property taxes. Love it. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the weirdest thing too, like just property taxes. Just, and then the fact that you have to like, if you're going to die soon or something, or your family's going to die, the amount of shit that you have to like, hoops you have to jump through to transfer ownership over to your family without paying like an exorbitant amount of taxes once they inherit the property is just like so fucking stupid. That's something that I think they need to get rid of. All of the like inheritance tax and all that kind of shit. It's just, why the fuck do they like have legal, like it's just weird when you think about it. Like you have money and they deserve it. You have money and this like weird mafia that has guns and like can lock you up, just that don't even take care of the roads that everyone circle jerks about. They can just take your shit. It's fucking blasphemy in my mind. Can we all just settle on social media so now we don't for the next 5 years? Yeah, I don't know. It seems like everyone's very divided on like which one they fuck around on, but who even gives a shit? Joel, what is a cult? How would you define a cult? I guess it's probably like a religion that's been around for like less than 50 years or something, you know. What do I think about communism? I think a lot of people have died whenever it's implemented into a larger statewide system, just because it's very inefficient, and the way it enforces a lot of its redistribution is through violence. And then there's a lot of like ethno-cleansing kind of aspects usually associated with it, like when you look at like the Soviet Union states and all the civil wars that have sort of permeated out since then. I mean, even going back to like more recently, like I know someone at my gym whose mother migrated and escaped Pol Pot. Do you guys know Pol Pot from Cambodia? Like millions and millions and millions of deaths under that shit. But I think if you want to go live on a nice little commune out in Oregon with like maybe 50 people total, I think you can make it work. You know what I mean? Then you could just call it tribalism instead of that. And you could just move on from this whole idea that somehow you're going to make it work this time. You're not. Spoiler alert, you're not. You're just going to get everyone killed. And you're probably going to get killed too. You're going to be the first one up against the wall. That's not fun. Mike and Ike, thank you for the 2 says, what's up, Joel? Hope the stories are really good. Me too, dude. We got 4 tonight. Moon 8 Rager with the 2 says, when you started out recording, what did you use? I still use actually the same mic, which is hilarious. So I use an H4n. It's like a field recorder, but it has sort of like an ASMR vibe. And you can kind of like, it has many uses. It can kind of act as a mixer. It has a memory stick like built into it. You know, it can have different attachments to it, so you can use it to like connect a boom stick to and have a sound guy, you know, do documentaries with it. You can switch it to stereo, you can switch it to mono. What do I think about capitalism? Yeah, you know, capitalism is one of those things where it certainly has many, many negatives, has killed many people in, you know, whenever, presumably, these sort of mega corporations, concepts of monetizing war is obviously an abhorrent thing. But I would say, in its current form, at least here in the United States, I guess it's the best we can kind of like provide, at least for us right now. You know, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's perfect. But I am not up against a wall whenever I speak out against whoever's in charge. And that's something I think we should be thankful for once in a while. Chrisella with the 5 says, hell yeah, comfy time. Let's get comfy. Let's get real comfy. Do I like knives? I liked always winning knives at like fairs. You know, like at a fair they have like that, the knives kind of rotating around a ring game, and you can play a ring game. But I don't really go out of my way to collect them individually or anything like that. I walked to school today and some guy almost ran me over in the crosswalk. Damn. Toot into the mic. Yeah, I guess we're going to have to transition off that background here soon, sadly, even though it's like so good. It's probably, in my opinion, one of like Robin's best works, just because it's so complex. Like the animation, look at the detail in the finger animation, because like that's not motion captured. Like that's him individually like animating each part, the eyes, the face, and then obviously the effects around the crystal ball that also is operating like a snow globe, and then the fact that like the cabin is rendered, the background and the window, everything's just like so perfect with it. All right. The man you were... Oh, it says the man we... Sorry. The man we are about... Shit. He's been a Dr. York, Chief Black Eagle, Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, and even His Excellency, Dr. Malachi... Excuse me, I got bad fucking burps. Malachi Kobina York. Do I like ice cream or sorbet more? Probably ice cream. Have you heard or read Silent Tongues? I've not. What's that about? Alright, sorry. The man we are about to discuss has gone by many names. He's been known as Dr. York, Chief Black Eagle, Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, and even His Excellency, Dr. Malachi Kobina York. At one point in his life, our subject went so far as to adopt the title, and this is a direct quote, folks, so don't hold on to your britches, Imperial Grand... God damn it. I don't know what the fuck this is setting up, but it's weird. Imperial Grand the Noble Reverend Dr. Malachi Z. York, 33 degrees, 77, 20 degrees. I don't know what I'm fighting. Is this a true crime? I can't tell what the fuck I'm reading right now. We're off to a good start. Potentate? Potentate? Potentate. What does that even mean? Guys, we're learning. Every stream we're learning. A monarch or ruler, especially an autocratic one. Okay. Did Shorin leave because I don't like communism? It's not nice. You can make abbreviations for long. It's all good. You don't really see sentences like this too much. Okay, sorry. At one point in his life, our subject went so far as to adopt the title, and this is a direct quote, folks, so don't hold on to your britches, Imperial Grand Potentate, the Noble Reverend Dr. Malachi Z. York, 33 degrees, 720 degrees. If you ask the man himself, he might tell you that he spent his life in the pursuit of knowledge. But the proof, it seems, is in the pudding, as despite his so-called quest for enlightenment, the man's legacy remains one of hatred, fraud, and child molestation. He might have granted himself all manner of lofty but ultimately meaningless titles, but to your infinite relief I'll refer to him only by the name on his birth certificate. And this is the story of Dwight D. York. Throughout his life, York would claim to have been born in places such as Ghana, Baltimore, Ghana, Baltimore, New York, and okay, my bad. Am I a yapper? I do yap quite a decent amount. Support you, you will improve yourself. How do we support you? We have to buy you a stair stepper. Throughout his life, York would claim to have been born in places such as Ghana, Baltimore, New York, or New Jersey. But according to his birth certificate, he was born on July 26th of 1945 in Boston, Massachusetts. He claimed that at age 7, he was sent to the city of Aswan in southern Egypt, where he supposedly received an Islamic education at the hands of his grandfather. Later in life, he wrote that, "My grandfather, as Sayyid Abdur Rahman al-Mahdi..." Jesus fuck, holy crap. Judith, welcome back for 55 months. Holy shit. Good morning, Joel and Buttersucks. How's my Buttersuck badge going? It's almost 5 years. Yeah, that's 56 months, right? That's crazy. What here? Yeah, you can decide a badge. What kind of badge do you want? Is 56 months 5 years? It is. Oh no, 60 months. Okay. Why do people come up with long names for their kids? I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the culture or whatever and the tradition there, but at least in America, most people kind of just have first, middle, and last. You almost face planted. Wait, where'd Judith go? What's up, Amy? Did she say what she wanted? I gotta get it down now or I'll forget. Anyways, if she comes back. What's up, Tortoise? I've got 4 names. 2 are middle names. What's up, Yamina? Google says my last name is Welsh origins, but I'm not Welsh. Well, who knows, honestly. Okay, so this says my grandfather as Sayyid Abdur Rahman al-Mahdi, the Imam of the Ansars in the Sudan. Holy shit, okay, I think we got that. What's up, Chandra? My grandfather as Sayyid Abdur Rahman al-Mahdi, the Imam of the Ansars in the Sudan until 1959 AD, upon looking into my eyes, foretold that I was the one who would possess the light. York then claimed that following his education, he returned to the United States in 1957 and, at the age of 12, settled with his family in Teaneck, New Jersey. By the late 1960s, a young Dwight York had taken to calling himself Imam Isa. He developed an interest in organizations such as the Nation of Islam and the Moorish Science Temple of America, but instead of joining one of the many pre-established black nationalist movements, he decided to found his own. After changing his name to Iman Isa Abdullah, he founded a movement that had become known as the Nuwaubian... Man. Oh wait, there's Judith. What happened? I don't know. Is she still here? What does imam mean? Make sure I'm saying that right. Is it imam? It's like a Islamic leader, I believe, right? The person who leads prayers in a mosque, an imam. It's like a priest. A friend of mine from Pakistan told me not to get fooled by soothsayers because I told him in Boston that there are a lot of people that read hands. Yeah, I mean, that sounds fair. I don't really believe the hand readers. Though one on a beach one time told me I was going to live to be 97, so that was exciting. So I'm just going to roll with that. Oh yeah, maybe Judith's audio. Tell her to, like, just refresh. But I want a butter sock badge. Oh. Like the same one that we have on the emote? I guess... I mean, we could make another one. Like a more unique one, but yeah, let me write that down. Shit. I just dropped it. You got it. Coming right up. I know you're not supposed to smell pens, but sometimes they smell kind of good. Scorpio, it's good to see you. Good to see everybody. A jar with a fart in it. I'll send that directly to your home. Wearing green and black. Oh wait, how did I end up here? The Nuwaubian Nation. Yeah, I gotta get that part right first. Nuwaubian. Right? I don't know, man. Is this a thing? How to say Nuwaubian. Nuwaubian. Okay, we got it. We're good. Yep, and we got the butter sock noted, thank you. The badge was a Joel Feet pick. That's gonna have to be a 20-year badge. Because I'm still marinating them. Does Joel always stream on Wednesday? Yeah, usually Wednesdays and Wednesdays and Sundays, the nights before videos. After changing his name to Iman Isa Abdullah, he founded a movement that had become known as the Nuwaubian Nation, and with a handful of loyal proselytizers, he set about growing the organization among the ripe ideological seedbed of 1970s Brooklyn. Wearing green and black dashikis, York and his followers set up a bookstore specializing in black nationalist literature and would attempt to recruit those who visited. The method was an effective one, and by the end of the 1970s, York commanded a congregation of between 2,000 and 3,000 followers. Throughout the 70s, York and his acolytes imbibed a relatively simple mix of Orthodox Islam and black nationalism. However, as the 1980s rolled around, York began to preach a much different form of religion. While drawing from various religious and historical themes, he renamed his movement the Holy Seed Baptist Synagogue, and unveiled a new logo featuring the six-pointed star of Judaism, the Islamic crescent, and the Ankh, an Egyptian symbol that also associated with pre-Islamic Sudan. This upset a great deal of his conservative Muslim followers, and the group began hemorrhaging adherents. But York wasn't done. He renamed the group a second time, calling it the Yamasee Native American Tribe, and began teaching his followers that they were affiliated with the Muskogee Nation. Make sure I'm saying Muskogee right. What's the weather like? It's chilly. It's just like, I don't know, it wasn't that cold when it was like 20. For some reason, getting into the single digits just like makes a massive difference in the fact you can feel it on the face. What am I wearing? khakis. Now I got jeans and a sweatshirt. An anime that has a lot of Egyptian references is Yu-Gi-Oh! Do they have the Egyptian Ankh? I think the only reason I knew how to say Ankh was because of, what's it called? Marvel Rivals. What kind of jeans? I don't know, honestly. Have you ever thought about doing reactions to ghost videos? I'd love to hear your voice and feelings on it. Well, that's funny. I used to do that for some of the streams. I haven't done that in a while. I guess because I always take the stream right to my bedtime. And I've been really trying super hard to be in bed between midnight and 1 and be up at a normal hour. He renamed the group a second time. Oh wait, I didn't look up how to say that one. Muskogee, okay. He renamed the group a second time, calling it the Yamasee Native American tribe, and began teaching his followers that they were affiliated with the Muskogee Nation. He told them their ancestors had not been brought over on slave ships, and had instead migrated to America during the time of Pangaea, a supercontinent that existed around 2 to 3 million years ago, which eventually separated into the continents of the present day. Naturally, this sounded nothing short of unhinged to the majority of his followers, who understood their roots were in Africa and not the Americas. And once he started changing religious ideas, the older followers became skeptical and left the group, said former follower Robert J. Rohan. That's what happened to me. He came up with an idea to move down south, apparently because he was under FBI investigation, Rohan added. But then he told us it's because we were moving to meet our spiritual parents. I guess he forgot to give us 2 explanations, and that's what made a lot of the brothers think that he was full of it. Following the announcement that the group was relocating to Georgia, York once again rebranded his organization. He changed his name to Malachi York, effective March 12, 1993, then declared his movement the United Nuwaubian Nation of Moors. A group that once numbered in their thousands now stood at just 200 to 300 strong, and ironically, York was more powerful than ever. He'd built up quite a war chest throughout the past 23 years, and due to the FBI's interest in his movement, many believed that this was done through illegal means. Yet the fact remains that York had enough capital. Poop. Warm milk before bed. What did I almost say right? Nuwaubian. What's up, Jeannie? How we doing? I know what happened with the sound thing. It's because I've opened Twitch as well to hear Mr. Crawdaddy had to say. Wait, what happened? Yet the fact remains that York had enough capital at his disposal to purchase 476 Yet the fact remains that York had enough capital at his disposal to purchase a 476-acre plot of land near Eatonton, Georgia, on which the compound known as Tomaree. God damn it, it's like one of those spellings where it's like R-E. Like, what is that? Tomaree? I don't know. How you say the compound. Bjork? How's Pradeep? He's good. He's... I have the fire on behind me, but no fan, and he's sprawled out, collecting heat. I saw a funny meme where they used like an "I think you should leave" reference, where it was like the audio from it, where it's like, "I think you're only here because of the the zip line, and then when he's like, huh? But he's pointing to the fact that his cat is only there because he wants to be near the space heater. I said his name and he rose. Tama Ray. Okay. I guess that's what we're going with here. Yet the fact remains that York had enough capital at his disposal to purchase a 476-acre plot of land near Eatonton, Georgia, on which the compound known as Tama Ray was constructed over a period of 3 years. The New York Times later reported that the compound featured 40-foot pyramids, obelisks, statues of gods and goddesses, as well as a giant sphinx. Yet the Times also reported that Tama Ray was not York's full-time residence. Instead, York stayed at a $500,000 mansion in Athens, Georgia, about 60 miles away from Tama Ray, that he purchased with so-called community funds. After completely relocating the group in 1993, and utterly drunk. Wait, I feel like we haven't figured out why he's bad though yet. Like, obviously we have an inclination that people that are leading a cult aren't so good. But what are some naughty things that he's done other than like steal people's money? Joel of Lead Street. If there was an OnlyFans for voices, Joel would place #1 on the top of the gay male nurse charts. This is true. I'd be in the top 0.0001%. You didn't realize the chat and sound aren't connected? Well, I think you just need to refresh, and it might refresh the chat as well. After completely relocating the group in 1993, and utterly drunk... God damn it, I'm not reading that right. After completely relocating the group in 1993, and utterly drunk on the power he wielded, York began preaching an increasingly radical form of his own personal religion, Nuwaubianism. The Southern Poverty Law Center described this belief as a black supremacist idea with worship of the Egyptians and their pyramids, a belief in UFOs, and various conspiracies related to the Illuminati and the Bilderbergers. The profile on their website included quotes from a letter penned by York himself, on which is stated, "The Caucasians had not been chosen to lead the world. They lacked true emotions in their creation. We never intended them to be peaceful. They were bred to be killers, with low reproduction levels and a short lifespan." Another Nuwaubian. Is this the religion with Yakub? You guys seen the meme of like Yakub? Is this the religion with that? Because that'd be really fucking funny. Another Nuwaubian racial origin theory has Caucasians descending from Cain. Adam and Eve was sent to the Aegean... I don't even say that shit. Yeah, are you guys gonna join this group? They sound like super chill. Each group... What is this? Aegean Islands? The Aegean Islands? I don't know. Aegean Sea, okay. Adam and Eve were sent to the Aegean Islands between Asia and Europe, where they started having children, York wrote. Each couple's firstborn child was an albino, and those albinos are called Cain in the Bible, and Cain is short for Caucasian. At some point after moving to Georgia, York began telling his followers that he was an alien. Wait. At some point after his move to Georgia, York began telling his followers, that he was an alien. He's a alien. We all knew this. How the hell do they keep following him, though? Are they all, like, high on LSD and shit? Does he have blackmail on them? Like, what is going on? At least I've kept my Buttersock cult the same name for years. I don't have the audacity to switch it up on y'all all the time. If we could think of a new name for it, though, what do you think would be a good one? Some people just be doing anything. That's true. Just get a little bored from time to time. At some point after moving to Georgia, York began telling his followers that he was an alien. I am an extraterrestrial master teacher from the planet Rizk. From the planet Riz. Holy shit. That's crazy. I am an extraterrestrial master teacher from the planet Risk, he wrote. My kind has been coming to this planet before it had life form on it. My incarnation as an Ila Mutajasid, or Avatara, was originally in the year 1945 AD. In order to get here, I traveled by one of the smaller passenger crafts called Sham, out of a mother plane called Merkaba, or Nibiru. York also informed his adherents that the so-called mother plane, or Nibiru, would launch the Crystal City, some called the... Oh my god. I mean, it's fine. It's just a lot of, information, new words, non-stop I don't know. Isn't the guy who played Joker a cult leader? Yeah, from 30 Seconds to Mars, people have said that he kind of, does a bit of a... does a cult type thing. I don't know exactly what, but I've heard that he charges exorbitant amounts of money for people to get VIP access to him or something, and then they get to sleep in his bed and sit on his face or wear him as a crown, or I don't really know. Either way, he's got business figured out. I mean, I feel like it's only a matter of time before Jared Leto gets in some serious trouble, to be honest with you. I feel like we've already heard a bunch of weird shit, but I feel like it's going to be really bad at some point if it's gotten to thus stage. York also informed his adherents that the so-called mother plane, or Nibiru, would launch the Crystal City, sometimes called New Jerusalem, to our solar system from its position in Orion. He claimed that this would be a 40-year process, by which the 144,000 chosen few would be transported to the planet craft Nibiru from August of 2003 to August of 2043. The chosen few would then be groomed for 1,000 years before being returned to Earth for the final battle against the Luciferians, and thus redeeming man from the 6,000-year rulership of the devil and his seed. To York's followers, his word was prophecy. Outsiders had a much simpler view. They're a cult, said Ghazi Y. Concon? Oh my god. They're a cult, said Ghazi Y. Concon, a representative of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Okay. Maybe he went to a Diddy party? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just a Diddy all on his own. Oh wait, that's what I wanted to ask. Who was the... Wait, no. The first question is, which record label was Diddy a part of? Question mark. Analyzing, Sean Diddy Combs was famously associated with Bad Boys Records, which he co-founded in 1993. The label was Powerhouse in the 1990s. Who was the CEO of Bad Boy Records? As the founder and head of the label, he was driving force. Really? So he had no other people above him prior to starting Bad Boy Records. Before founding Bad Boy Records, Sean Diddy Combs did have people above him in the music industry. He started his career in an intern in Uptown Records, a prominent R&B and hip-hop label. And in the late 1980s and early 1990s, in Uptown Record, Diddy worked under Andre Harrell, who was the founder and CEO of the label. Andre Harrell. Let's take a peek at him. Yeah, interesting. Oh, he kind of looks like... Died in 2020. Talent director, key executive. Yeah, I don't know. You gotta wake up at 4 a.m. Sorry, dog. Hello from Germany. Guten Tag. Or I guess... Oh, I guess if you can't sleep, yeah. Guten Morgen. They're a cult, said Ghazi Y. Khan, a representative from the Council on American Islamic Relations. They consider their leader a prophet, which means they have deviated from the... My voice is cracked. Fucking, I don't have any water. After this story, I gotta go piss really bad. Joel, why do knees buckle? It happens to me sometimes. Honestly, I don't know, but let's ask the almighty AI. Why do knees buckle? Knees buckle or give way for a variety of reasons. Muscle weakness, ligament injuries, meniscus injuries, arthritis, patellar instability, nerve issues, tendon injuries, knee alignment problems, trauma or overuse, psychological or neurological factors. Am I Diddy? I don't think so. Bad Boy Records. I remember in school we used to go behind people and put our knees into their back of their knees and just like buckle. I remember there's this one kid on the football team. I felt so bad. Some other random kid went up behind him and did it, and it literally like blew his knee out. Didn't they go to nursing school? I don't know. We didn't take a fucking entire like semester to focus on knee buckling. Yes, I'm supposed to know everything ever. All I know is how to like wipe people's ass and give them fucking morphine. Keep them quiet. You understand? No make piss, only read. Alright, I'll just piss my pants right here. They're a cult, said what? Okay, yeah, we did that. Did I miss? I don't even freaking know, dude. I gotta spray my throat. What's up, Walt, baby? How we doing? Use my cat's litter box. It's already filled to the brim with piss. It's like floating in there, like sloshing around. It's like overflowing with urine. But York simply... Okay, I'm going to read that one over again. They're a cult, said Ghazi Y. Khan, a representative from the Council on American Islamic Relations. They consider their leader a prophet, which means they have deviated from the Islamic way, he said. But York had not simply deviated from pre-established Islamic teachings. He had deviated from basic human decency, too. As far back as the group's days in Brooklyn, York had established strict sexual practices within the Nuwaubian community and declared that he, and he alone, had the right to intimate relations with the group's women's and girls. Sorry. Joel wears diapers while he streams as part of his draw to his intimate cult. This is true. At the end of every stream, I give away one diaper. As far back as the group's days in Brooklyn, York had established strict sexual practices within the Nuwaubian community and declared that he and he alone had the right to intimate relations with the group's women and girls, including the wives and daughters of his followers. Theodore Gabriel, Theodore Gabriel, emeritus lecturer in Man, I gotta be more smart. I gotta be more smarter. Emeritus lecturer in theology and religious studies at the University of Gloucestershire. Just hear someone say it. Gloucestershire, okay. Joel, is it correct to say I should not have went, or is it correct to say I should not have gone? I shan't not gone. I should not have went. I should not have gone. Probably the second one sounds more right. Gloucestershire. What was the last word? Emeritus. Jesus Christ. Theodore Gabriel, emeritus lecturer in theology and religious studies at the University of Gloucestershire, wrote that while extolling the virtues and importance of family life and conjugal relationship. Dude, I gotta pee so bad. Holy fuck, but I'm gonna do it. He asked me a question. Am I simply a subject to all your whims? While extolling the virtues and importance of family life and the conjugal relationship, York denies relationships to his followers except at strictly controlled intervals. He urges his female followers to pattern themselves on the Islamic paradigms of the wife and mother, apparently desiring the creation of stable family units. But in reality, the husbands and wives are segregated in dormitories, separated also from their children. York permits spouses to cohabit. York permits spouses to cohabit only once every 3 months. They are permitted to meet in the green room prior to appointment only. Having managed to coerce his followers into allowing access to their wives and children, York's proclivities became increasingly depraved as the years went by. Many had suspected the FBI's interest in him was related to potential financial crimes, and while fraud and racketeering was indeed taking place, York was eventually arrested for something far, far worse. In 2002, following anonymous complaints that might well have come from his followers, York was arrested and charged with more than 100 counts of sexualizing... Jesus, dude. Bill Ozinski, okay. Just pee in a bottle. They're all full. My whole room's just filled with piss jugs. I'm probably gonna have to, make a piss bomb here soon. Have you seen that guy? I believe he started out on TikTok. That's where all the educational material starts. Guy's making a piss nuke. How do I get my dad to let me have a cat when I'm kind of a lot allergic to cats? Maybe you could get a hairless one that's doesn't have allergies or whatever. In 2002, following anonymous complaints that might well have come from his followers, York was arrested and charged with more than 100 counts of sexually molesting dozens of children, some as young as 4 years old. According to Bill Ozinski, who wrote a 2007 book about York and the case, excuse me, wenn man mit ihnen nicht übereinstimmt, werden sie pissig. What the hell? What is this devil talk in my chat? According to Bill Ozinski, who wrote a 2007 book about York in the case, when he, York, was finally indicted, state prosecutors literally had to cut back the number of counts listed from well beyond 1,000 to slightly more than 200 because they feared a jury simply wouldn't believe the magnitude of York's evil. It's believed to be the nation's largest child molestation prosecution ever directed at a single person in terms It's believed to be the nation's largest child abuse prosecution ever directed at a single person in terms of number of victims and number of alleged criminal acts. Following his arrest in 2003, York attempted to negotiate a plea bargain with the federal government. The letter to the case's presiding judge read as follows: Your Honor, with all due respect to your government, your nation, and your court, we, the indigenous people of this land, have our own rights, accepted sovereignty, I feel like sovereign as an individual thing doesn't make sense there. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't you have to swab the ears of hairless cats every day? Yeah, it's definitely much more of a pain in the ass to take care of. I think you have to do specific lotions on their skin as well. Or I don't know. It's definitely a process you have to learn about. Your Honor, with all due respect to your government, your nation, and your court, we, the indigenous people of this land, have our own rights, accepted sovereignty, our own governments. We are a sovereign people, Yamasee, Native American Creeks, Seminole, Washita, Mound Builders. Jesus. We are a sovereign people, Yamasee, Native American Creeks, Seminole, Washita Mound Builders. All I'm asking is that the court recognize that I am an indigenous person. Your court does not have jurisdiction over me. I should be transferred to the Moores Cherokee Council Court, in which I will get a trial by juries of my peers, and I cannot get a fair trial, Your Honor, if I'm being tried by the settlers or the Confederates. I have to be tried by Native Americans. As a Native American, that's my inalienable rights, and it's on record. Since York's appeal was... Dang it. What's up, Gray? And David, thank you for the 2. My mom brought home this keto trail mix, and it's basically bird food, but it's kind of good. Yeah, this shit's always fire. I think I've had some of that before. I think about just all the shit that I ate as a kid, and I'm like, man, I wish there was literally just one adult in my life that would intercede for my poor eating habits as a child. Since York's appeal was grounded in his belief that he was... Okay, yeah. How have I been? I've been good. Just cruising. Counting my lucky stars. Since York's appeal was grounded in his belief that he was indigenous to North America, the judge promptly rejected the appeal. York was then convicted of transporting minors across state lines for the purposes of molestation, as well as racketeering and financial reporting violations, then sentenced to 135 years in prison. York's followers assert a number of defenses, including that their leader, Malachi Z. York, who was charged and convicted, is not the same person as the Dwight D. York, who is listed in court documents as the defendant. Others say that York was set up by his son Jacob in coordination with Al-Qaeda-linked American Moss who were jealous of York's influence among African American Muslims. York himself believes that his betrayal, arrest, trial, and imprisonment, along with his eventual release, were foretold. Oh yeah, I wonder what book they used. Foretold in chapter 10 of Zechariah Sitchin's book, The War on the Gods and the Men. Dude, I remember there used to be like a crazy guy that would come into the bar that would talk about Zechariah Sitchin and like talk about Nibiru and all sorts of like crazy Anunnaki bullshit. But who knows? Maybe he was right. That's great. How you been in the gym? Yeah, I've been pretty good. Yesterday I didn't have a workout for today, but yesterday was leg day. But it wasn't too bad. It was basically just really trying to focus on the stretch on the squat and just kind of like trying to take things to failure. Joel, do you sit upright or lean back in your seat? I'm learning to keep a proper but consistent posture. I'm trying to do readings. I have a stand-up desk, to be honest with you, which I really like because since I'm at the gym, like lifting weights frequently, I would say like sitting at a desk for an extended period of time is like one of the worst things for like people who might have back issues, which can sometimes back stiffness can like stem from doing squats and deadlifts and whatnot. So honestly, I've just had a stand-up desk forever and it's pretty amazing. Like obviously you kind of have to get like a pad below you so you can piss and shit on it. Just kidding. It's like, so your feet don't get sore. But co-owner with your buddy at a gym in Florida. Not in Florida, but in Pennsylvania. Yeah, we're doing that. It is definitely an experience for sure. Do you have a desk that raises or lowers? Yeah, so it's like I have my baseline desk, and then I have one that kind of comes in one piece that has like hydraulics, and you squeeze the side of it and it goes up like, And basically the only thing I have on that is my keyboard and I actually have some other random shit on here, obviously, but yeah, okay, we gotta get through this so I can go take a piss. Did you ever have to bounce people out of your gym? No, everybody's nice and normal. York himself believes that his betrayal, arrest, trial, and imprisonment, along with his eventual release, were foretold in chapter 10 of Zechariah Sitchin's book, The War of the Gods and the Men, with York claiming to be represented by the supreme Egyptian deity, Ra. York's followers then said that since 1999, York has been the Consul General of Monrovia. Oh my God. What is this even saying? I don't know why. This one was like an extraordinary struggle to make it through. Just so many words, so many things. York's followers then said that since 1999, York has been the Consul General of Monrovia, Liberia, under the appointment of then-President Charles Taylor. They argued that he should be given diplomatic immunity from prosecution and extradited as a persona non grata to Liberia, but both American and Liberian officials have rejected this claim. As of 2024, Dwight York is serving his sentence at the United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility in Florence, Colorado. He is inmate number 17911-054 in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day with a projected release date of July 12th of the year 2120. If Dr. York, or Chief Black Eagle, or whatever he wants to call himself, is indeed an intergalactic educator from a distant planet, then maybe he'll survive long enough to see that release date. If not, and he proves to be a mere mortal, then he'll die where a man of his character belongs, cold, alone, and far away from the innocent. True. That's crazy. Wonder what his like childhood was like. Did we hear about that at all? All right, I'm gonna go pee. I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. And this is what happens when you have to go piss. You transcend into a being of pure light and joy. Not like the chaos that is found in a man filled with urine, but a man without is empty and free. I do feel better. Do my cardio now. I don't want to, dude. Cardio seems so lame. See, someone gets. Yeah, I had to go throw out all my piss jugs. Hold on, be right back. Just hit someone over the head with a piss nuke, or like it like smashes into a Uber driver. Hee hee. All right. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys knew, but the new bonus content is out in the bonus content playlist. So we recorded that, I believe, last time, edited it, and we're ready to rock. Also, there's pictures of my feet up on the bonus content. Just kidding. Epistle, yeah. Okay. Chad Daybell. Oh, more true crime. Man. I don't know. I was kind of hoping to hear, like... I mean, I understand, like, cult stories are kind of hard to come by, but I was kind of hoping for, like, more flippin' personal experiences with the cults. How to say Daybell, Daybell. Have you heard of the game 1980X? No, I haven't. What's that about? Daybell. Alright, I guess it's just Daybell. Chad Daybell was born on August 11th of 1968 and was raised Mormon in the city of Springville, Utah. Following high school, he was accepted into Brigham Young University, but 1 year into his education, he applied to be a missionary, after which he spent 2 years in New Jersey. After returning to BYU, Chad graduated with a bachelor's in journalism and then went on to work as a copy editor for the Ogden-based publication, The Standard Examiner. In 1990, a 22-year-old Chad would marry a girl named Tammy Douglas, and the couple welcomed their first child into the world shortly afterwards. Outwardly, Chad was living the life of a clean-cut Mormon 20-something, but beneath the surface, he began to entertain some deeply unsettling thoughts and hobbies. For instance, while he was still a student at BYU, Chad developed an interest in cemeteries. It started as a part-time job, digging graves in the evenings after his studies were completed, but after a while, it seems Chad started to enjoy the act of digging fresh graves among those already occupied. Even after getting his... I saw Pradeep walking by. I thought he was going to rub into my leg, so I got distracted. This story is super wild and sad. They have a Dateline and a 2020 special on it. Oh, okay. Sometimes I get worried, like, reporting about, like, certain groups, because I have gotten emails where people... Like, someone was, like, mad that I called Mormons and not, like, the Church of Latter-day Saints or whatever, and I get it, that's the name of the thing, but I don't know. Whatever. But they're Mormons. Yeah, I don't know, I guess, like, let's look it up. It's like something specific. Why don't Mormons want to be called Mormons? Yeah, it's a new slur. It's a new slur. If you say it, your Reddit is going to be pissed. Members of the here's the key reasons to avoid the term focused on Christ. The church's official name emphasizes Jesus Christ. Leaders have stated that the use of the term Mormon might diminish the focus. Avoiding misconceptions, the term Mormon might be associated with stereotypes or misunderstandings, including historical practices like polygamy. Avoiding the term helps reduce those misconceptions. Guidance from leadership in 2018, Church President Russell M. Nelson specifically called for members and others to use the church's full name. He stated that using the correct name aligns with the church's divine mission. Distinguishing from other groups, the term Mormon has been used to describe other groups that are not part of the LDS Church, such as fundamentalist Mormon groups that still practice polygamy. But they prefer the LDS Church or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. For some reason, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints sounds almost like a really old Sherlock Holmes novel or some shit. Jesus Christ and the Church of the Latter-day Saints. A mystery written by H.P. Holmes. It's kind of interesting to me, like, how wildly different Mormonism is with, like, conventional Christianity here in the United States. Obviously, it's got a whole ass another book, and, you know, they got their salespeople out everywhere. But, like, I'm just kind of, like, my mind is blown how there's not, like, more conflict, I guess, between, like, the Mormon communities and Christian communities. You know what I mean? Like, I just figured they would, like, argue with each other a lot more. But it seems like they're all just, like, chill about it, even though it's, like, wildly different. But I do remember I worked with a woman who was a Mormon who lived in Utah and had ran away from her family or something like that and broken free. I forget exactly what she told me, to be honest with you, but I know that they weren't allowed to drink coffee, which made me think, like, well, that's a fucking deal breaker right there. Most of your family are LDS? Yeah, Cindy, what was your experience? Was it negative since you're not in the church anymore and stuff? Well, are you in the church? Since you say you grew up in it. We fight in the afterlife. Yeah, that's where it really goes down. There used to be until the Mormons were forced to move to the Utah area. Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, wasn't Brigham Young and all those guys like kind of territorial in a lot of ways? Mormons ain't allowed to drink tea, coffee, cola, and a lot of other herbal substances. It's just weird, like the arbitrary rules of really any religion. Like something's not halal or something's not kosher. Oh, that's not, why? Even after getting his copy editor's job over at the Standard Examiner, Chad maintained a second full-time appointment at the sexton of Springfield Cemetery, and he eventually resigned from his position in the late 90s, but only after becoming fixated on a new and very different kind of hobby. Wait. Part-time interest in cemeteries. I feel like I skipped something. Deregulate religions. Come on, baby. I want to drink Dr. Pepper. Free me. I had a Mormon colleague that drank coffee, but it was burnt tortilla, not caffeine. What the fuck? Well, he just wanted to, like, experience the simulated sensation of fucking burnt beans. You'll follow the buttersauce cult. Good, good, good. I can't have you asking any questions beyond that. Just blind obedience. What would be the government religion? I mean, whatever they say it is. I mean, there's a lot of, like, fascistic style governments that exist, like Islamo-fascism that exists within the Middle East right now. The sort of mixing between the state and religion and, all throughout history. And sometimes, such as those, like, Soviet era, like, some of them were just, like, straight atheist for a long ass time. And, your focus was, like, primarily on the state. I guess, is that how it is in North Korea right now? North Carolina? The governor of North Carolina, Kim Jong-un. The way religious texts are interpreted is bad, but the texts themselves tell some crazy stories, and all major religions are talking about the same events from the past. To an extent, yeah, I guess so. Built upon themselves. Bro, give me a quick shout. I've listened to all your stuff, dog. Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate you, dude. Much love. What's your favorite topic? It started as a part-time job, digging graves in the evenings after his studies were completed. But after a while, it seems Chad started to enjoy the act of digging fresh graves among those already occupied. Even after getting his copy editor's job over at the Standard Examiner, Chad maintained a second full-time appointment as the sexton of Springfield Cemetery. He eventually resigned from his position in the late 90s, but... 90s, damn it. He eventually resigned from his position in the late 90s, but only after becoming fixated on a new and very different kind of hobby. In 2001, Chad published One Foot in the Grave, a non-fiction. Sorry. My parents were very strict. Growing up was very sheltered. After I left home, I took a long while to adjust. Yeah, it is interesting. It's almost like you kind of get very accustomed and look forward to the structure, which I feel like is kind of like how school was for me. I mean, not exactly the same, obviously, since everyone kind of went through it, but there's a lot of aspects about like life that I sometimes wonder if I had the degree of freedom that I have like now, if I would be able to like figure it out. Because it's strange. I feel like I have Stockholm syndrome to being like told what to do. You know what I mean? Because like in school, it's like every day is like laid out for and you're told what to do. And then you get to work and it's kind of the same thing. But, you know, there's the carrot of like money dangling on the other side. But then you suddenly get like strange freedoms. And it's like you kind of have no idea how to be a human being beyond regimented money making. Have an awesome day and night. I'm crashing as I listen to stories. Hope you all days and nights go perfect. Good night, everybody. See you, Dylan. Thank you. Joel was so glad to be able to have the freedom to look at all the aspects of the other gay male nurses in his hospital. I could finally analyze their buttholes from a distance under a microscope. Top 10 devours, horror stories. She took my money but left me alone with the kids. Was it top 10 devours, horror stories? She took my money but left me alone. Oh, that would suck. But I guess also be good. Yo, what's up, Vixer? You're crafting? What kind of crafts are you crafting? He eventually resigned from his position in the late 90s, but only after becoming fixated on a new and very different kind of hobby. In 2001, Chad published One Foot in the Grave, a non-fiction book that chronicled his experiences working in cemeteries. Thanks to a few poignant tracks regarding mourning and mortality, Chad's first serious offering was fairly well received. But then for his second outing, Chad took a radically different direction. He began to write... I always skip words. He began to write what might be referred to as Mormon end times fiction, stories that depicted apocalyptic situations and dystopian futures. They often featured thinly veiled versions of his friends and family as protagonists, with recurring themes centering around supernatural voices giving instructions to his characters. When asked where he got these ideas from, Chad gave a very interesting response. In the author's note of one of his novels, Chad explained that suffering not one, but two near-death experiences in his life had allowed him to see, and I quote, beyond the veil. I don't fictionalize any of the events portrayed in my books, he writes. I'm really not that creative. My torn veil allows information to be downloaded into my brain from the other side. The scenes that I am shown are real events that will happen. While his claims were well received among certain sections of his audience, many were turned off by Chad's wild claims and wilder plot lines, and by 2009, his readership began to shrink. Chad began catering more and more to the mostly radical Mormon readership that remained, and to supplement his income, he began giving speeches at LDS events concerned with the second coming of Jesus and other such end-time scenarios. Over time, this led to Chad's religious convictions becoming more and more extreme, and by 2011, he was claiming to have anticipating visitations. This, for some reason, this is flowing so much better in my brain, I guess because there's not as many words that I'm unfamiliar with. If you have to explain a joke, it ain't good. Joel, you have a great sense of humor, and I'm tuned into you. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean, I forget who says this, but trying to explain a joke to somebody is like dissecting a frog. It's like you can dissect the frog and show their insides to them, but you can never put a frog back together. Very well, at least. Vixa, thank you for the 5 says, is Pradeep the secret shadow leader of the Better Soul cult? He is true. He is my muse. He does speak on my behalf to the other realm and protect me from the dark arts. A lot of you guys might not be aware of that, but certain entities around you are there to protect you. Over time, this led to Chad's religious convictions becoming more and more extreme, and by 2011, he was claiming to have visions regarding the end of days. He claimed to see earthquakes so powerful that California and Oregon would sink into the Pacific, along with wars so destructive they'd engulf entire continents. But it wasn't until 2015 that he claimed to hear the voice of God, and apparently, God was telling him to move to Rexburg, Ohio. Not Ohio, dang it, Idaho. And apparently, God was telling him to move to Rexburg, Idaho. But right around the same time Chad was driving Tammy and their 5 children over to Idaho, a woman in Texas was opening up one of his books, and her name was Lori Vallow. Born Lori Noreen Cox in Loma Linda, California, on June 26 of 1973, Lori was damn it. Tax time. Boop. Thank you for the 369 Buttersock tax. Thank you. And just in case anybody missed the bonus content, I have a tax for you. Okay, you guys gotta pray. You gotta pray that you get a gift. Ready? 3, 2, 1, pray. Alright, let's see who prayed the hardest. Miss Cookie prayed hard, Rune Anderson prayed, Silent Seshi 609 prayed, Thunder Kint prayed, and Anton K are the hardest prayers in chat. Now they get access to the heavenly sounds of bonus content. Hell yeah. Just keep praying, dudes, you'll get it. Me promise. Yeah, just a couple of limp prayers. Born Lori Noreen Cox in Loma Linda, California, on June 26th of 1973, Lori was raised Mormon, and by 2015 was married to her 4th husband, Charles Vallow. Having married in 2006, the couple adopted Charles' grandnephew, J.J. Vallow, as the boy's birth parents were unable to care for him, and by all accounts, the marriage was Lori's happiest and most stable to date. But in 2015, when Lori became interested in Chad's Standing in Holy Places series of books, she experienced something of a spiritual reawakening. Tribble? What's Tribble mean? Tribble. This is my dog, Tribble. Watch the video explaining why we fall asleep to horror stories you were mentioned. Look it up, specifically titled why. Yeah, that was Derek. That was one of his videos that popped off. Derek rocks. We're actually working on like a podcast. It's going to be like a podcast audio drama at some point. So I'm going to be producing that, and also potentially voice acting in it. So be sure to keep an eye out. And be sure to follow him. You can fold that prayer up like a balloon animal and put it inside you. This is true. These are the cool things that you can do with your words. But in 2015, when Lori became interested in Chad's Standing in Holy Places series of books, she experienced something of a spiritual reawakening. She became increasingly invested in radical religious beliefs, read dozens of books detailing near-death experiences, and began listening to podcasts hosted by excommunicated Mormons. 3 years later, in October of 2018, Lori attended a Preparing a People event in the state of Utah, One of the speakers was Chad Daybell. Enraptured by his vivid representations of the end times, Lori approached Chad following one of his speeches and reportedly began flirting with him. Chad then told Lori that he believed they'd been married in previous lifetimes, and after exchanging phone numbers, they began a secretive correspondence. Under the guise of maintaining a professional relationship, Chad and Lori made joint appearances on several episodes of the Preparing a People podcast. She claimed to have been captivated by his unique and outspoken beliefs. In reality, the two were conducting a deeply sordid extramarital affair. And over time, a small but deeply fanatical cult formed around Chad and Lori. He christened their organization the Church of the Firstborn, before crowning himself its one and only leader. The group consisted of Lori and her brother Alex Cox, along with Lori's friends Melanie Gibb and Zulema Pastines, the latter of whom ended up married to Lori's brother. All had been raised as deep adherents to the Mormon Church, but on Chad's orders, they relinquished. Oh, man. I need to have all my bones cracked, all my muscles squeezed. That's honestly, we should start to breed giant people, just specifically not so that they would kill us, hopefully, but so that they would give us really good massages, because I imagine that must be nice for a cat to have, or an animal or a dog or whatever, to have humans available to pet them and whatnot, because sometimes you massage your cats trying to find any sort of knots or whatever they might have. And I was just thinking, how sick would it be if there were giants, where they wouldn't even need to be that strong, they just use their pinky and they can get in the exact perfect spot where you're sore with minimal pressure. But then it would suck if maybe they did it too much and snapped you in half or something. That wouldn't be good. Just get a German woman. That's a good point. What would her name be? Lynn, thank you for the 29 months. What is time? Who is time? When is time? Where is time? Time is all but an illusion of fractions of life. Now, time to read the back of my eyelids. Good night, Lynn. Be safe. That'd be so funny if that was Trump came out. He's we've been working on something very long behind closed doors. For too long have we had to go to very peculiar and strange and I'd say somewhat scary Asian massage parlors to get cheap massages. And really, it's just massage. Don't tell Melania. But we've been working for a long time, me and Elon Musk. We've been breeding giant folk. Have you seen Elon's son Elon and my son Baron? Baron is one of the first ever, and we call them Titans. Titans. They will be upwards of 9 to 10 feet tall, similar to a Sasquatch, if you've seen them in the wild. And they will give you massages, effortless massages. They could do them all day, work for minimal pay. All you need is pizza and probably some diet soda. That's what Baron likes, and he's about 9 foot. Also, I was just thinking how funny it would be if Baron, someone made fun of, or the next assassin that tries to get Trump, Baron just roar, just jumps out of nowhere, and he's 10 feet tall, and he just fucking with a big fucking backhand just throws the dude 50 feet into the air. Father. Chrisella, thank you for the 5 gifters to Travis T, Ricardo Valles Jr., Brandy Ayers, Steph, and Panda Niece. Welcome, friends. Thank you so much, Chrisella. Oh yeah, did you see the one outfit that Melania was wearing? I don't know if it was at the church event or what, but somebody did like a side-by-side comparison, and she looked like the Hat Man. You know, like the scary silhouette Hat Man that you see when you know, drink too much NyQuil. I was like, holy shit, that's fucking spot on. It was a sick outfit, I'll be honest with you, but it was a little bit terrifying. That'd be so I mean, that'd be just so fucking funny if for like the second term, like she just goes like balls to the walls with just some like insane, like she just starts cosplaying. She just dresses up as like fucking Squirrel Girl for whatever reason. Like, or like Street Fighter characters. She wore the wide-brimmed hat so that Donald's lip couldn't reach her. Yeah, she just puts it down to like block him from coming in. He's like, come here. Go, ooh, I'm gonna get you. He like gets in there. He's like, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, our very good First Lady. She's really fantastic. She's dealt with a lot. How funny would it be if they're like, we just arbitrarily found out that their age gap is like 50 years? He's like 83 and she's 33 years old. My young, beautiful wife. She just turned 30. She swats him away. Get away from me. You're scaring me. All had been raised to... Fuck. She's 55. She's a rough 33. All had been raised as deep adherents to the Mormon Church, but on Chad's orders, they relinquished their beliefs with a chilling degree of relish. Despite being rejected by the mainstream Mormon Church, the concept of reincarnation played a huge role in Chad's belief system. He claimed to have lived 31 previous lives, some on distant planets while inhabiting the bodies of advanced species of xenomorph, and one inhabiting the body of St. James the Less, a figure from early Christianity. Lori, on the other hand, had lived a total of 21 previous lives, 5 of which she'd spent in the company of Chad, and one in which she inhabited the body of Mary French, the great-grandmother of the LDS's founder, Joseph Smith. They were sealed, as Chad phrased it, following their marriages in previous lives, and conveniently, this relationship superseded those of their earthly marriages. When follower Melanie Gibbs suggested that Chad and Lori should divorce their spouses, Lori told her that she is full of shit. The Baba shook. I'm Baba shook by that. I'm like, wait, she looks like the Baba Duke. Oh my god. Like, and it's like the one time, like Baron looks over at her and he's like scared. And he like runs, he gets up and he's, you know, he's a giant, he's a titan. So he just gets scared and like runs out the door, but like smashes like a perfectly sized like shape of his body as he goes through the door. Oh, the Baba Duke. When follower Melanie Gibbs suggested that Chad and Lori should divorce their spouses, Lori told her that they were not permitted to, due to information they were receiving from, and I quote, the other side of the veil. Yet while Chad and Lori had no problem granting themselves a couple of heavenly hall passes, they were incredibly judgmental when it came to other people. Chad categorized people as either light or dark, depending on whether he associated them with Christ or Satan, but his judgment was far from arbitrary. He and Lori employed a uniquely elaborate scoring system, marking people up for virtuous or saintly characteristics, and marking them down to morally dubious or outright sinful behavior. Wait, oops. Oh, shit, I read that wrong. I fucking read it wrong. The Babadookie. What if she is the Hat Man and Baron's like the Kool-Aid Man? That would be sick. That's what they should do for Halloween. Oh, dude, did they ever did? Okay, honest question. Did Joe Biden dress up for Halloween in all of the years that he was in office? I feel like we never got to see him. All we saw of him was like random events of him like babbling or like falling down a set of stairs. I feel like we never actually got to see, well, we never really got to know him, Do they normally? I thought there was like some degree of cosplay with the presidents. I mean, if like Justin Trudeau can do like blackface, I feel like somebody here could dress up as like Timon and Pumbaa. He and Lori employed a uniquely elaborate scoring system, making people up for virtuous or saintly characteristics and marking them down for morally dubious or outright sinful behavior. Those who scored highly were considered to be reincarnations of famous figures from Christian history, while those on the bottom end of the scale were considered to be possessed by evil spirits. If the group liked you and deemed you worthy of saving, they might perform what they referred to as a casting, a ceremony in which they try to cast away evil spirits through prayers and scripture readings. However, if the demons inside a possessed person were too heavily entrenched and thus impossible to exorcise, Chad and Lori claimed the only possible remedy was death. And as you can tell, the passage of time saw Chad and Lori's beliefs become more and more extreme, and eventually, Chad began Motherfucker! Your bucket list consists of you in a red busting through someone's living room wall. There's still time. Mr. Popo. Yeah, he did look like Mr. Popo. That's funny. Oh, Goku! Welcome back! Oh, you're back, Mr. Goku! As you can tell, the passage of time saw Chad and Lori's beliefs become more and more extreme, and eventually, Chad began making apocalyptic proclamations and insisted the end of the world would come on July 22nd of 2020. He told his followers that he was guided by angels and could see hidden truths, while Lori claimed to be an exalted goddess, able to see the future and unconcerned with earthly laws. She became increasingly disinterested with her husband, Charles Vallow, and in February of 2019, she told him that she no longer cared about their marriage or their adopted son, JJ. Lori then loaded up her truck and disappeared for almost 3 whole months. When she finally returned home, she was confronted by her husband, and a vicious argument erupted. During the fight, Lori told Charles that he was possessed by the evil spirit of a man named Ned Schneider, and that this was the root of all the negativity in their marriage. But that's not all. Lori then told Charles that rather than a mere mortal, she was a living deity, assigned to carry out the work of the 144,000 on the occasion of Christ's second coming, which, coincidentally, was only 18 months away. There was much work to be done between that day and the date of Christ's return, and if Charles got in her way, Lori would murder him. The threat to his life prompted Charles to consider divorce, but ultimately, he decided not to give up on her. Lori was quite clearly suffering from severe mental health issues, and as her husband, it's reasonable to believe Charles felt a great deal of responsibility for her. But as the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished. Right around the same time Charles decided to stick around and work on his marriage, his wife had stopped referring to him by name altogether. In secret text exchanges between Chad and her brother Alex, Lori routinely called her husband Ned, or Hiplos, the latter being the name of the demon thought to have possessed him. Lori told members of her small but fanatical cult that Charles had become a zombie, and that he couldn't have redeemed her through him. Joel, how do you feel about people who commented on your videos about politics and subsequently argue it in the replies? I I don't know. I guess they're just playing a game of basketball, you know? No one really wins. No one really loses. But I guess you got a nice little workout, didn't you? This one being for the mind. But people do win and lose at basketball. And they supposedly win or lose in a debate. But you end up leaving pretty much the same person at the end, either way. Lori told members of her small but fanatical cult that Charles has become a zombie. Fuck, dude. I hate when my voice just is like, alright, I'm done for a little bit. But I'm not done with you. Lori told members of her small but fanatical cult that Charles had become... Motherfuck, good God. Charles told members of her small but fanatical cult that Charles had become a zombie, and that he couldn't be redeemed through prayer and casting. There would be grave and if. I keep missing a word. Lori told members of her small but fanatical cult that Charles had become a zombie, and that if he couldn't be redeemed through prayer and casting, there would be grave consequences. But before efforts to save his soul have even commenced, Charles Vallow discovered his wife's affair. Somehow, Charles managed to obtain the email address of Tammy Daybell, Chad's long-suffering wife. He drafted a long and heartfelt email informing Tammy of their spouse's infidelities after apologizing for the pain his revelation might cause. Shockingly, after reading through the email, Tammy Daybell simply deleted it and then blocked Charles's email address. Following a huge confrontation regarding the discovery of the affair, Lori left Chad's home to stay in Chandler, Arizona, with little JJ splitting his time between his parents. Then on July 11th of 2019, Charles drove over to Lori's home to pick up JJ, but upon his arrival, he was confronted by none other than Lori's brother, Alex. There was an altercation between the two. Charles retrieved a baseball bat from the trunk of his car. Alex Cox responded by shooting him dead. 16-year-old Tylee Ryan, Lori's daughter from her third husband, later confirmed that Charles did indeed arm himself with a bat, but had run back to the house by the time the shooting commenced, and couldn't provide any further insight into the moments before Charles' death. Incredibly, and most likely based on Tylee's testimony, no charges were filed against Alex, and the shooting was deemed to be self-defense. Neighbors reported that later the next day, they witnessed a very loud and very jubilant pool party at Lori's Arizona home. And by August of 2019, Lori had relocated her family to Rexburg, Idaho, in order to be closer to Chad. Upon her arrival, neighbors noticed that little JJ's behavior appeared erratic, and that Lori often left him outside to play alone, without adult supervision and for long periods of time. When confronted about this, Lori neglected to mention that young JJ was autistic, and instead told neighbors that he was, quote, her niece's drug baby. Just weeks later, Lori and her brother Alex took Tylee on a hiking trip to Yellowstone National Park. They walked the trails, ate snacks, but when their trip drew to a close, only Lori and Alex climbed back into her truck. Lori would later tell neighbors that Tylee had been accepted into Brigham Young University on some kind of early scholarship program for gifted high schoolers. In reality, no one would ever see Tylee again. A few weeks after the Yellowstone trip, on September 22nd of 2019, Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend, David Warwick, were staying at Lori's home. And in the evening, Warwick saw Alex Cox taking a sleeping JJ upstairs to his bedroom, and this marked the last time anyone would see the boy alive. A few days later, Lori informed Rexburg Elementary School that she would now be homeschooling her adopted son. But the truth was infinitely more disturbing. In October 2019, 2 Venmo payments were made from Tylee's account to her older half-brother, Colby Ryan, with odd messages attached. When he expressed concern towards Tylee via text, he received responses from her cell phone indicating that she was safe, but too busy to talk. Melanie Gibb later said that Lori and Chad were convinced Tylee and JJ were possessed and had become zombies. Zolima Pastines also testified that... Oh, I just realized I've probably been saying that fucking wrong the whole time. Dude, there's a lot of characters in this. I'm not really following what the fuck's going on. Somewhat, like, it just went from, like, 0 to 100 when, like, someone's, like, the Charles guy got shot. Pastenes. Zolima Pastenes. I read that so wrong in the beginning, but... What can you do? What can you do? Cowboys are sexy. Do they still exist? What about, like, Roman soldiers? Are they sexy? What about, like, mummies? Wrapped up mummies? Or Dracula? Zolima Pastenes also testified that Chad had told his followers how, shortly before the little boy's disappearance, young JJ would soon die. But JJ's death was not the only one Chad predicted around this time. He began telling his followers that his wife, Tammy, was in limbo after becoming possessed by a spirit named Viola. What the fuck is going on? Honestly, at the beginning of this, the fact this guy was writing books and stuff, I was like, all right, he's a little crazy, but it, like, what? I didn't even really understand how they, like, transitioned from having a marital affair to starting a cult to now killing each other. Like, what the fuck is going on, bro? He began telling his followers that his wife, Tammy, was in limbo after becoming possessed by a spirit named Viola. Dude, I don't know. I want to say, like, voila, but that's not it right at all. There's a video that goes into more depth about the main guy's past. Okay, yeah, I don't know. It's just like... we still got quite a few pages left to read, but it seems like it feels fast at the same time. Fox Truba, welcome back for 19 months. Says, you know what's in Rexburg, Idaho? Absolutely nothing. Mostly farmland. I should know, because I lived in Idaho. Hi, Buttersuckle. Hello, friend. Yeah, what did who moved? Did they move to Rexburg? What is... I don't know. I don't know what's going on. He began telling his followers that his wife, Tammy, was in limbo after becoming possessed by a spirit named Viola. Her case was a severe one. If they didn't act soon, she was in danger of becoming a zombie, and that was something which Chad was never going to allow. Right around the same time Colby Ryan was receiving Venmo payments from his dead sister, Tammy Daybell returned home from an errand, parked in her driveway, and stepped out of her car. A masked man stepped out from the shadows, aimed an assault rifle at her, and then pulled the trigger. Damn it, I read that wrong. Do you keep in contact with other reader YouTubers? Not really anymore. I haven't really... If they pop into the chat, I'll say hi, but I don't know. I kind of lost touch with everyone. A masked man stepped out from the shadows, aimed an assault rifle at her, then pulled the trigger. Tammy screamed, but her shriek of terror was the only sound to pierce the evening silence. The rifle had misfired. Tammy later told police that due to his mask, she had been unable to identify the man who attempted to shoot her. Police warned her to be much more vigilant and to report any further developments. But it was no good. 10 days later, Tammy was found dead in her home, apparently from natural causes. Chad claimed that she had retired the previous night with what he called a terrible cough, and that she tragically died in her sleep. He also mentioned that Tammy had been experiencing low blood pressure, seizures, and negative reactions with homeopathic medicines, though none of her medical records supported his claims. 3 days later, at Tammy's funeral, mourners found Chad's behavior extremely suspicious. The funeral came so soon, but it still felt so planned, one said. Others said Chad seemed businesslike, and that he didn't seem upset, and that he wasn't crying but was trying to cry. Mourners were then deeply perturbed when Chad referred to his late wife as lazy and not easy to live with during what was supposed to be a heartfelt eulogy. Chad's sister-in-law, Heather Daybell, thought his behavior verged on the bizarre and later stated that he just didn't seem upset. In the weeks that followed, Chad began introducing Lori to his friends and family. One of his neighbors, Alice Gilbert, described her first meeting with Lori as awkward, as despite the fact Chad had only recently buried his wife of 3 decades, he seemed remarkably happy. Gilbert observed, is it Gilbert, I guess? I don't know. Or Gilbert. Alice Gilbert, how do you say it? Would you say Gilbert or Gilbert? Kenneth Gilbert. Gilbert, alright. Any updates on the Ballin Studios thing? Just playing it by ear, not trying to put any pressure on anybody, either way. If it works out, that would be fantastic. But hey, just trying to let people know that I am available and willing. And I got the need for speed. Menopause sucks with the 3. Thank you. Any story recently you think should get some sort of adaptation? Oh, like a story on my channel that should be turned into like a movie or something? I don't know. Some people were saying in the more recent, which, first off, guys, thank you for watching the heck out of my most recent video, the scariest stories ever told. That is 100. That's like some of the most views I've gotten on a video in like 2 days ever, I would say. So I'm definitely gonna keep doing bonus content and probably doing like compilations, of them to promote the bonus content later on. Wait, where's Sam's comment? He should be pinned to the top. Is he not pinned? That's not good. What? He should be like the top pinned comment. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Oh, because he edited it. He edited the comment so it unpinned it. Alright, now it's pinned again. No worries. Yeah, but Sam has been a big help with the true crime stuff and then obviously the bonus content, fictional stuff. So that is dope. And yeah, we're going to keep doing that because that's massive. It's crazy. I really never would expect my channel to have success with like creepypastas again, but to be able to read them, like the fictional horror stories, and people enjoy it, like that feels it feels like I'm going back in time, to those fun days. What happened to Corpse Husband's channel? Is he... I assume he's still on YouTube, right? Corpse Husbando. Yeah, Corpse Husband, Corpse. Yeah, I mean, I guess it was sort of a natural evolution, right? Of creepypastas, true scary stories. He was always kind of like an AFK content creator, like just didn't put out a lot. But when he did, it was sort of a big deal. So when he developed a very strong social media following. So when he came back and did the Among Us thing, and that was just like an absolute monstrous craze, it was like just such a perfect storm to then transfer over to his music, which Obviously, I think that's been his main focus, and also kind of perfect, I would say, for like him being AFK a lot of the time, because when you're a musician, people can just go back and listen to your old stuff, and then you can take your time like creating and crafting whatever, experiment you want. So probably just gotta wait around till he busts out the new stuff, the hot jams. Maybe he'll release something in May of 2025. It'll be the hottest hit of the summer. Love seeing stories. They scare the piss out of me because I was freaking out on the Cops 2 videos in bed, gripping sheets, shivering. That's awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, getting some. Those were fun. Those had some really cool concepts, like really cool like visual cinematography, like from the perspective of like the camera lens. Justin Balas with the 5 says, "Dearest Joelward, I must ask you, have you ever heard or discussed Raymeyer's Hollow or Hex Hollow before?" No, what the heck is that? What the absolute fwick is that? Let's look it up. Chat BBC. What is Hex Hollow? We'll do that one first. What's up, Gray? Dutch folklore. Okay. Hex Hollow is known as Raymeyer's Hollow. It's a small area in York County, Pennsylvania, with a history tied to folklore, superstition, and a notorious murder case. The site is closely associated with Pennsylvania Dutch folklore and tradition of powwow, a form of folk magic and healing practiced by some of the Pennsylvania Dutch community. Raymeyer's Hollow murder in 1928. The most infamous aspects of Hex Hollow is the murder of Nelson Raymeyer, practitioner of powwow. 2 men, John Blymeyer and his accomplices, believed Raymeyer had placed a hex on Blymeyer, causing him illness and misfortune. Blymeyer consulted other powwow practitioners who alleged confirmed his fears and advised him to destroy Raymeyer's spell book and a lock of his hair to lift the curse. Blymeyer and his associate broke into Raymeyer's home intending to find the spell book. When they couldn't locate it, they murdered Raymeyer and set fire to the house, believing that they would lift the hex. The fire failed to destroy the house, and the crime shocked the community. Powwow combines Christian prayers, folk remedies, and rituals to heal and protect against evil. Interesting. Does it work? Gilbert observed. Oh my god. As soon as I started, I almost knocked over my drink. That would have been so bad. Getting ready to call it? No, we're still grooving. We got a ways to go. Also, me and my friend were just laughing at the fact, you can see it on my Instagram story, but the fact that like General Insurance, the mascots for General Insurance is Shaquille O'Neal and like a 3D animated like midget general. Like that when I was just like sitting and thinking about how fucking funny that shit is. Just like just these like really shitty like low budget insurance commercials, and it's got Shaquille O'Neal, one of the greatest like basketball players of all time, who's 7 feet tall, right? And then an animated cartoon fucking general with like who like why like he's a military guy, like a guy who was known to like kill people and like send people to die. Like both of them are just like in a buddy cop drama together, selling you insurance at the same time. Like that shit is so fucking funny to think about. It just seems like one of those things that like I would think of just to like troll my advertising company, and then they were just like, that's brilliant. That is an amazing idea. Thank you, Joel. And I'm like, no, wait, no, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And then they release it. But in my opinion, I think that they really need to start getting into like the lore. You know what I mean? Like what are they up to? What do they go do? I want to see like Shaq and the General go to fucking Las Vegas together. Hey, yo, General, yo, watch this. I'm gonna open up the fucking the plane door. I don't think that's a good idea, Shaq. That could... They all get sucked out, and they're like falling, like free falling through fucking the air. What the hell were you thinking, Shaq? And he's like, don't worry, I grabbed us both a parachute. Here you go. Oh, thanks. But then they like land in the desert, and they're like, oh man, where the hell did you get us, Shaq? You and your bright ideas. I know. You know there's water inside the cactuses. Hold on a second. And he like cracks open like a full-grown cactus. What he did to Kevin Hart on his skit was so out of pocket. What did he do? Gilbert observed that the couple was very affectionate, laughing and joking with one another, even as Lori explained how her daughter had passed away just 6 months prior. This marked the first admission that Tylee was deceased, but since Alice Gilbert was just a neighbor, she had no inkling whatsoever of the admission's sinister implications. Despite the cryptic hints at their terrible crimes, Chad and Lori played the role of a happy, wholesome Mormon couple who had bonded over personal tragedy. But by late November, their masks were beginning to slip. On November 26th of 2019, police visited Lori's Rexburg townhouse at the request of Kay Vallow, sister of the recently deceased Charles Vallow. She hadn't heard from little JJ for weeks and was beginning to grow concerned, and so on the afternoon of the 26th, 2 Rexburg police officers stopped by Lori's home. There, they found Chad Daybell and Alex Cox, who informed them that while Lori wasn't home, they were more than happy to answer any questions the officers might have. When asked where JJ was, Alex Cox claimed that he was with his paternal grandmother, Kay Vallow, the same woman who had called in the welfare check to begin with. Officers knew that he was lying, but played along before asking Chad where Lori was. Chad replied that he, quote, hardly knew Lori, and was only present at her home because he was a friend of Alex. Again, that was demonstrably false. Marriage licenses are a matter of public record, and seeing as Chad and Lori had gotten hitched in Hawaii just weeks prior, the cops knew that he was lying too. When they eventually got in touch with Lori, she too provided the police with easily disprovable information. She claimed JJ was staying with Melanie Gibb in Arizona. One phone call was all it took to prove this was a lie. Chad and Lori might have made grave mistakes in lying to the police, but they weren't entirely moronic. They knew the game was up, and just hours after police came to question them, they loaded up a truck with their belongings and fled to Hawaii. Right around the same time Chad and Lori were moving into a rental home on the island of Kauai. One Kevin and 46 Shacks trying to keep a spaceship running smoothly. Spoiler alert, things do not go smoothly. Hey y'all, we should probably eat Kevin Hart. Hey, what are you doing? Don't eat Kevin Hart. Don't eat. Yeah, we should eat Kevin Hart. No, don't eat me. How do you say this? Kauai. Kauai, okay. But I honestly would watch an entire movie with the General, or maybe even just like shorts, you know what I mean? Hey, Amelia, thank you for the 5. Says, love your content. I can tell you probably put a lot of effort in your videos, so thanks for that. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the 5. So Kevin Hart isn't canceled since he was involved with Diddy. Yeah, what the, like, do you think we'll ever get information on that? Like, I presumably, right? presumably, if someone went to a Diddy party, I mean, I guess there's a lot of assumptions to be made there, right? Like, obviously, Diddy's parties involved a lot of, like, unscrupulous activities and terrible things involving human trafficking, kids, you know, all that fucked up shit. And it's just like, now, the question is, do you go to a party and then, like, at a certain point they say you can leave or something, and then the really bad stuff happens that people use for, like, blackmail and abuse and all that kind of stuff? Or is it like from the second you step foot on that property, like, you essentially are under the interpretation that some very Diddy-less stuff is about to happen? Please don't include anything about Satanism. Okay, you got it. Do I laugh at all of the layered left-right questions people ask you? What's the left-right ones? What are they? Diddy has filed a suit on some YouTubers. What? Really? Just like DMCA takedowns or like full-on lawsuits? Because, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. Supposedly his wife saw footage of Kevin doing unspeakable things and considered divorcing him, but that's it. Yeah, but how would they know that, though? Did she, like... Is that just like a rumor mill type thing? Like, did she say that to somebody? I don't know. I mean, it really does seem like we kind of exist in a world where maybe a lot of, like, Hollywood in its modern form is just like one big series of blackmail, and, you know, any sort of, like, thought process that you might have that deviates from, like, the groupthink can be immediately snuffed out if there's, like, threat of, you know, releasing said footage. But honestly, if you were in a situation like that, wouldn't you just say, fuck it, you know? Maybe they find a way to kill you or whatever, disparage you. But then, you know, if you're the first one to go down, just say they all fucking do it and start naming names. But who knows, maybe if they're connected to the FBI and shit, who would probably be investigating, the FBI would cover it up, and then maybe even they would kill you too. You survived midterms? Hell yeah, dude. It's all blackmail control. All major companies have control of a lot of people. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to really even, like, look at the entertainment industry the same anymore. But I guess most people can kind of, like, step away from it. Even if it, like, came out and everybody in Hollywood was fucking, like, you know, 6 fingers deep in somebody that they shouldn't be, and we all found out about it and even had, like, footage and shit. I honestly feel like most people are so, like, sort of, like, apathetic towards any sort of crazy shit on Earth. They just be like, I'll probably watch the Grammys tonight. You know, I was a little bored. Right around the same time Chad and Lori were moving into a rental home on the island of Kauai, police officers were conducting thorough searches of their homes. Days later, the Rexburg Police Department officially pronounced JJ and Tylee as missing persons and asked for the public's assistance. Days later, the Rexburg Police Department officially pronounced JJ and Tylee as missing persons and asked for the public's assistance in locating them. Police also announced that the Chad and Lori... Motherfucker. Yes, click that like button if you could. Oh, we hit 500 people. Let's go. That means we get an achievement for the stream. Was the first story of your last video true? Oh yeah, all the ones in the scariest stories you've ever heard were all bonus content that is now released, but they're all creepypastas, so like fictional horror, amateur fiction. Hey, polar bear. Is that polar bear? You got a new PFP. Changing it up on us. Police also announced that Chad and Lori were persons of interest following their prompt departure from the mainland United States, and that the children's disappearance might well be linked to the suspicious death of Chad's late wife, Tammy. As interest in the case grew, so did the amount of media attention it received, and before long, news networks all over the country were broadcasting interviews with people who described the errant couple's beliefs as frightening, disturbed, and cult-like. Incredibly, Chad and Lori released a statement through their attorney on December 23rd of 2019. An extract from the statement reads as follows: Chad Daybell was a loving husband, and he was the support of his children in the matter. And he has... oh, man. Such a Chad. Absolute Chaddington. Do you check Twitch comments or new people that swing by over there? I should, honestly. Let me check it right now. This should be the word of the day, arbitrary. Why does everyone want Baja Blast when they go to Taco Bell? I want Dr. Pepper. Joel needs protection from the dark farts. When you go live on Twitch, you should hashtag just chatting stories, scary stories, etc. chill like that to get people looking keywords here. Oh, okay, I guess that would make sense. But yeah, just trying Twitch out. And Ash, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Taco Bell. Do you guys like to eat food till you're sick? I was just thinking about Taco Bell. I'm like, I feel like I couldn't go to Taco Bell. Maybe it would only take like one burrito. But if I go to Taco Bell, it's like, it's kind of doing an unsaid agreement with myself that it's like I'm not just eating there for sustenance. I'm eating there until I either puke or shit. Probably both at the same time. Chad Daybell was a loving husband, and he has the support of his children in this matter, while Lori is a devoted mother who resents assertions to the contrary. All false allegations will be addressed once we have moved beyond speculation and rumor. Their statement was met with a response in early 2020 when a collection of the couple's relatives issued an shot. Get a little noise for when the Twitch sprites join. Yeah, I didn't even look at how many people were currently listening over there. We're growing. You actually love Taco Bell? Is that gross? Yeah, I guess a little bit. Not like terribly so. Not like killing kids like gross, but like definitely within like that spectrum. Their statement was met with a response in early 2020 when a collection of the couple's relatives issued a public message begging Lori and Chad return the children. They announced a reward of $20,000 being offered to anyone who either returned the missing children or shared information directly contributing to their return. Weeks later, on January 25th of 2020, Lori and Chad were located in Kauai and were handed a court order requiring Lori to physically produce Ty Lee and JJ at the Idaho Department of Welfare within the next 5 days. The next day, police seized the couple's rental car and searched their rental townhome in Princeville. Both Ty Lee's debit card and JJ's iPad were recovered. Just hours after their Princeville home was searched. The home was searched. Okay. Can I do a country accent? What kind? This is Sandy Cheeks. Hell yeah. Southern accent. This is a sweet and sour accent. Sometimes I go to the... We'll do a moment of silence for the troops. Just hours after their Princeville home was searched, the Daybells were confronted by an East Idaho news reporter named Nate Eaton. Eaton asked them where the children were. God damn it. Eaton asked them where the children were. Chad and Lori refused to answer. Finally, on February 20th of 2020, Lori was arrested by the Kauai Police Department before being extradited to Idaho. Her arrest prompted Chad to also return to Idaho, where he tried convincing his neighbor, Alice Gilbert, to put her home up for bond to get Lori out of prison. When she asked why, he told her Jesus had given him the idea. When Alice then confronted him on what he had said about Lori's daughter being dead, Chad gave a cagey answer about it being a custody issue and then promptly fled the scene. Months went by without development, until finally, in June of 2020, police found human remains buried in unmarked graves in the backyard of Chad's home. The bodies were located in an area the Daybell's family called the Pet Cemetery, as it had been used to bury their cats and dogs. As the property was being searched, Chad phoned Lori in jail to warn her about the situation. Then, after police found and began to unearth the bodies, he tried to flee the scene. He was chased down, apprehended, and then placed under arrest for concealment of evidence. Days after the discovery of the so-called Pet Cemetery, police confirmed the human remains found on Chad's property belonged to the missing children, Tylee and JJ. Tylee's body had been burned, and her hands had been cut off, while little JJ's body was relatively undamaged, having been wrapped in plastic before being gently lowered into the makeshift grave. However, unlike JJ, Tylee's remains had not been treated with such reverence. Her corpse was so decomposed and damaged that her cause of death could not officially be determined, while JJ's had been carefully dispatched with a plastic bag over his head and duct tape over his mouth, possibly after being drugged. Following the announcement that the children's bodies had been found, Chad Daybell was officially excommunicated by the Church of Latter-day Christ Jesus Bonerific Saints. Sorry. Astro, thank you for the 5 gifters too. Nitty Wagon, Sonia Gonzalez, Tina Prophet, Misty71, Kaylee Smith, and Vic. Welcome, friends. You guys now have access to bonus content. Appreciate you. Mischievous Froggington. Okay. Following the announcement that the children's bodies had been found, Chad Daybell was officially excommunicated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on the basis of his religious teachings, some of which were described as those of a doomsday cult. At the trials, Lori was found guilty of the murder of her children. She received 3 consecutive life sentences for the murders. What the fuck? She received 3 consecutive life sentences for the murders and conspiracy, with an additional 2 life sentences and a 10-year term for grand theft to be served concurrently. She now resides at the Women's Correctional Center in Pocatello, Idaho. Make sure I say that right. Pocatello, okay. It's Jesus Christ, a Latter-day Aints. That'd be so funny. It was like a rap group that started and just like used the exact same name as the Mormons. How's Beep Burp? Oh, shit. He's good. He's right at my feet. I didn't even realize that. Hi, buddy. Hey, baby boy. Little loafer monkey. Patting his butt. Come here, buddy. Come up on the chair. Come here. Come on. There you go. Good boy. Good boy. What a sweetie. 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 Guys, I don't even know if ever in my life I'll ever meet another cat like this. He's pretty cool. She now resides at the Women's Correctional Center in Pocatello, Idaho. Chad's convictions came the following year when he was pronounced guilty on all counts, including murder, conspiracy, and insurance fraud. He was sentenced to death in June of 2024 and is currently being held at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution in Boise. If he's a man of conviction and believes he'll be reincarnated on another plane of existence, facing the lethal injection shouldn't be too frightening for old 31 lives Chad. But if those convictions waver, if his beliefs were merely a tool with which he could manipulate and murder without feeling an ounce of guilt, then it'll be a morbid comfort to know he faced the same mortal terror as those his victim did. Dude, right when I think I'm going to make it through, I fuck it up. Shannon McLean, thank you. And welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Bonus content. Cats choose you. You have chosen, or you have been chosen. Shorn, you're back. Where the hell did you go? Did you go start your own communist state? You better not have. But if those convictions waver, if his beliefs were merely a tool with which he could manipulate and murder without feeling an ounce of guilt, then it'll be a morbid comfort to know he faced the same mortal terror as those his victims did in their own final moments on Earth. Oh my god. Lolcats. Oh man, dude, it's so funny. I remember there was a girl in my math class senior year of high school, and she, we were like close to like the final days of school, so we were, it's like for some reason the teachers decide to like try and befriend us at that point in our schooling career. But for some reason he was off topic talking about like the internet. And I graduated in 2008, so this was a million years ago. And I just remember her like telling him like, oh my god, like it was on the internet, and he had the internet brought up on the projector screen or whatever the fuck, and she was like, oh my god, you should go to lolcats, go to lolcats.com right now, go. And I was like so sick inside. I was like, of all the shit that you could show him right now, you're gonna show him some stupid fucking lolcats bullshit. But now that's all I watch on Instagram is just lolcats. That's perfect. It worked out. Just turn Berdeep into a cyborg kitty. I guess I could just like never let him die. He's like begging to die. Please let me go. Too bad, buddy. You're sticking around for another 1,000 with me. Me and Bill Gates. To the future. Okay. And now we got 2 more stories to grow. Hey, see ya, Fox. Take care. Taxidermy. Oh, man. Honestly, I don't think I could disrespect my kitty with a taxidermization. I'll be honest with you. No, no shade towards anybody that does it. It just seems... It doesn't seem like a proper burial. I really do think he's gonna live to be 30 years old or more. He just got that kind of energy. He's still very kiddie, Let's all argue about aliens. I wish aliens were that interesting to argue about them. I mean, maybe once they start blowing stuff up and saying it's aliens, then we'll start arguing. Yeah, I'm gonna cremate them, turn them into a chocolate milk. Hello, Brazil. My name's Darren. I'm from Cornwall, and I don't know if this counts as a scary story in the traditional sense, but it scared me, so maybe it'll scare you too. So basically, a few years ago, I found out that an old schoolmate of mine had become the youngest ever person in the UK to be convicted of being a terrorist. The police raided his mum and dad's house back in 2019 and nicknamed him after they found instructions on how to make bombs. He went to court over it, but managed to dodge prison time because of how young he was when he downloaded the instructions. The local paper said that he was a neo-Nazi, and I'm not disputing that because apparently the old Bill found all sorts of Hitler stuff when they raided his bedroom. But when I looked into it myself, there was way more to it than that. When I first heard about it, I read every single article about it that I could get my hands on. I used to be dead pally with a guy back in every 7 or 8. Every. I think they meant to type year 7, year 8. A starving stray Bombay came to my house and got himself adopted, so I got my own black kitty. Oh, that's awesome. What's its name? Midnight. Serial killer in the chat. Just absolutely destroying Captain Crunch. Squinky? That's a good name. Squinkers. I used to be dead pally with the guy back in year 7 and year 8, and seemed like an alright kid back then. But then apparently after I moved schools at the start of year 9, he took a drastic turn for the worse. The whole thing hit really close to home, so you can imagine I wanted to know as much about it as I possibly could, mainly because I wanted to know what had gone so wrong in the guy's life that he thought about making bombs. And that's how I discovered, while reading one online article, that my old pal had been visiting the website of a group known as O9A. And the article kind of glossed over any details on the group and stated that they were neo-Nazis and just moved on. But like I said, there was a lot more to it than that. Having read a lot about various UK neo-Nazi groups while researching my old pal's arrest, the name O9A jumped out at me immediately because I've never heard of it before. I read all about the National Front, National Action, and the likes of Combat 18, but never anything about a group called O9A. So out of sheer curiosity, I decided to do some research on them to see what my old pal had gotten himself into. Then from the moment I plugged the name into Google, I think my jaw stayed on the floor for the whole time. O9... Wait. Yeah, O9A, okay. Wonder why, yeah, the UK says year 8, Canadians say year 8. Wonder why United States doesn't say year 8, we say 8th grade. What is O9A? We're about to find out. O9A stands for the Order of the Nine Angles. Okay. O9A stands for the Order of the Nine Angles. And that's angles, not angels. And to put it in the simplest terms possible, they're Nazi Satanists. They want to tear down society which they think is controlled by Jews and build a new one based on paganism and a sort of survival of the fittest mentality. One of their big beliefs is human sacrifice, which they think will speed up the downfall of civilization. But they're not all talk when it comes to actually inflicting suffering and things like that, as I found out for myself when I looked them up. In the summer of 1997, 2 Swedish members of the O9A committed the Kellers Park. Oh. You say 8th grade in Alberta. Oh, I wonder if it changes. You don't say year 8. Do you say matriculated? Keelers. Oh, Keelers. Yeah, I guess Keel would make sense, yeah. In the summer of 1997, 2 Swedish members of the 09A committed the Keelers Park murder, which was where those 2 blokes tried to ritually sacrifice an Algerian man. Then in 2019, an American soldier was found out to be a member of the Order of the Nine Angles and was planning on kidnapping and killing his fellow soldiers in the name of Satan. I know you're probably thinking, okay, I was with you till you tried making out that there's satanic terrorists in the US Army, but please, if you think I'm trying to mess with you, then look it up. The fella's name is Ethan Melzer, and there's a bloody New York Times article about the whole thing. And this is legit, not just some stupid creepypasta. In the year after that, another soldier was found. Pretty like trying to reach down to get off the seat, but he cannot. And now he's primming and dude, he's so funny. Every time he prims and preems himself, like, but he's like looks at you as he does it. He's like trying to like flirt and like get your attention to come pet him. It's really cute. What, buddy? What? Okay, sorry. The year after that, another soldier was found to be a member of 09A, only this was a member of the group within the 09A called, and you might want to spell this out instead of saying, and I'll spell it. The year after that, another soldier was found to be a member of 09A, only this was a member of a group within the 09A called, and you might want to spell this out instead of saying it so you don't get in trouble, the RAPE Waffen. The group of scumbags hatched the idea of violating white girls and getting them pregnant from it so that more white babies would be born. Like I said, my jaw is resting firmly on the floor. Is resting on the floor. Like I said, my jaw is resting firmly on the floor by this point as I was reading stuff like that, and because it legitimately sounds like badly written blue hair fan fiction, I had to stop and look all this up as I was reading it, only to find out that, yeah, it was all true. Another one that sounded too insane to be true was the story about another member of the Order of Nine Angles, whose name I've got handy, but I don't know that you want to edit it out, but he's named Luke Austin Lane. He and his 2 mates were caught planning the murder of some Antifa couple. And yeah, I'm no fan of Antifa, but this bloke was actually planning on killing this couple's kids in front of them before finishing them off in turn. They're kids, man. What kind of scumbag deliberately executes innocent kids like that? And I just couldn't believe what I was reading. But it kept going. And to prepare. Oh, this is kind of like a mix between a personal and a true crime, I guess. I can't be the only person with a Crunchyroll subscription. I don't know, like I got it through Amazon and it kind of like forces itself on you. If you're trying to watch like one show, you're like, well, you gotta get the whole fucking Crunchyroll thing. And now you have access to a bunch of random bullshit. Rest in soy. Rest in soy. Oh, man. To prepare the... Man. Yeah, Vixo, you need to get back on counting. I'm curious. I feel like it always ends up in like the hundreds. Raw onions or cooked onions? I don't think I've ever had raw. I mean, I guess once in a while, like diced up or some shit. What was that sound? It's probably like a windshield wiper or something. To prepare for the murders, Luke Lane and his mates killed a sheep, drank its blood, and then took a lot of LSD or mushrooms or something to go on a sort of spiritual journey. I read another thing about a bloke in Canada who killed a Muslim guy, and then I think he stabbed some Sikh fella, and then when he was caught, boom, police found out that he was a member of O9A. And there are loads more satanic murders like that, mainly in Scandinavia and Eastern Europe, and they're all connected to what is literally a satanic terrorist group. But to be honest, that's not even half of it, because if you look all of that stuff up, the Order's members are involved. But to be honest, that's not even half of it. Because if you look up all the stuff that the Order's members are involved in, you start seeing this same sick pattern playing out over and over again. Excluding 2018, every single year for the past 7 years, a member of the Order of the Nine Angles had been arrested and convicted of being a child abuser, be that through having material on their hard drives or actually doing disgusting things themselves. Most of these incidents have been in the UK, but as of late 2021, they've spread to America and Sweden too. America and Sweden. Most of these incidents have been in the UK, but as of 2021, they've spread to America and Sweden too. But then, as much as you might think that these dudes are just straight up creeps, and hear me out about this one, I don't think that's necessarily the case. The Order of the Nine Angles has these 2 documents about human sacrifices. One's called A Gift for the Prince, and the other is called Calling, A Guide to Sacrifice. Most of their literature is absolute garbage. It's legitimately difficult to read because of how much jargon and inside language they use, but there's one bit that should really stand out to me. Something that makes me... Oops. Most of their literature is absolute garbage. Like, it's legitimately difficult because of how much jargon and inside language they use, but there's one bit that really stood out to me. Something that makes me think that all the NXIVM stuff is basically part of their ethos. The Order says that human sacrifice isn't just confined to killing people. If they were burning and decapitating people every week, they'd all be caught in no time, right? Well, to continually propagate human suffering without overtly alerting the authorities, the Order describes NXIVM as a way of sort of feeding evil, if that makes sense. NXIVM being child... Oh, I can't even say it. I guess you just have to assume people will know what it is. But for you guys, it's child sexual exploitation material, CSEM, C-S-E-M. If they were burning and decapitating people every week, they'd all be caught in no time, right? Well, to continually propagate human suffering without overly alerting the authorities, the Order... The Order distributes CSEM as a way of sort of feeding evil, if that makes sense. It sounded wild to me at first, too. I can promise you, but the more I read and the more I thought about it, the more it all started to make this sort of horrible kind of sense to me. The kids involved in this, it's them that are being sacrificed, and by distributing the images of them being abused, the Order of the Nine Angles is able to sacrifice them over and over again while corrupting other people in the process. Again, I know this sounds too insane to be true, but here's yet another example of it happening back in 2020. In April of that year, Russian police raided the homes of a group suspected of, and this is a direct quote from the Russian website now, incitement to murder due to religious and racial hatred and criminal activities against women. I think they thought that these dudes were just neo-Nazis, but during the raids, they found the men were members of a Russian-based chapter of the O9A called Legion Av Satan. Turns out one of these lads had burned down a really old church someplace, and it was never solved until they found photos of him setting it on fire in his house, but that wasn't the worst part of it. As I was reading about this group, I remember thinking, okay, well, at least these lads weren't pedos, but then lower down the article from the Russian website, I saw that they were. They had been grooming kids in this place, Krasnodar, where they lived, and were trying to get them into underage prostitution. And imagine that they were going into profit in some way from it, but that's not the point with those. And I imagine that they were going to profit in some way from it. But that's not the point with these Order of the Nine Angles people. It's about suffering. It's about the suffering of innocent people. And that's what they trade in, and it's because human suffering makes Satan more powerful, so they say. It has to be a specific kind of human suffering, though. The kind that doesn't improve a person. Things like grief, severe physical pain, or the lifelong mental scarring that comes with being abused at a really young age. And I'm sure you'll agree. The Order of the Nine Angles rabbit hole makes for some of the worst stuff you've ever heard, and by the time I'd finished reading about it, I was in two minds about my old mate not getting any jail time. He was 14 when he got into that order, 16 when he was arrested, so yeah, I can put that down to something a stupid teenage boy would do. But the order is no joke. The fact that he had some of their human sacrifice documents downloaded on his computer was worrying, and you can actually view them online if you search hard enough, but don't do that, and that's... Alright, you know what? We're not going to include that part. Just because I don't want it to, include to tell people where to go, or, encourage anyone. But the order is no joke, and the fact that he has some of their human sacrifice documents downloaded on his computer was very worrying. I'm not saying that we should lock everyone up who does or says something. I'm not saying that we should lock everyone up who does or says something silly on the internet. But reading through all the O9A stuff makes me wonder if a mistake hasn't been made. And I hope my old mate turns a new leaf, and it was all just a silly phase to him. I mean, he's definitely sorry that he got caught, because I know for a fact that he's got all kinds of restrictions placed on him. And don't ask me how I know. Everyone knows everyone in Cornwall, but I know he can't go on certain websites or talk to certain people, and if he does, he's in serious trouble. That'd definitely have me thinking I've made a mistake here, and I really do hope that he sees it that way, because honestly, the alternative is bloody well terrifying, isn't it? If he cracks on with life and it becomes something daft that he did back when he was a lad, then good on him. But if not, well, I imagine I'll be reading about him at some point in the future, for whatever terrible thing that he does, in the name of the devil. The deviled egg. I figure culty stuff to be probably pretty triggering for a lot of people. Yeah, it kind of goes without saying. that, you know, if you're going to be on like a horror channel, it's not really going to be like a family-friendly experience. All right, last story, friends and colleagues. How long is this one? It's not super long, but holy shit, it's almost 1 a.m. We gotta bang this out and then go to bed. So I will be right back. You guys hang loose, chat amongst yourselves. I'm gonna get my magnesium and I will return momentarily. Thank you. Dun 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 dun. Give me $125 million and I'll build you a dream reader. Is that what they're doing with the AI thing? What do they do? What is that concept, the Stargate thing? Does anybody have any expertise into what the goal of this like Stargate project bullshit is with like AI. Joel, let's read Embiid. It's me. I've got an NBA game coming up. Star gay, yeah. It's gonna turn everybody who goes to space gay. You hope you find a partner who doesn't want kids. You might end up having to probably find someone like that later in life, you know what I mean? Because maybe someone who's kind of resigned themselves to the fact that they haven't had kids, so they just, you know, never will or whatever. And then you meet up and then you're like, oh, okay, we're good. Looking but not seeing, and I see it's okay. I've been middle my whole life and trying to voice for people who can't speak or for... What are you talking about? You found yours at 28. Oh, I guess that's fair too. I mean, probably online dating apps, right? You could just clarify your preferences. Do you guys know if the NXIVM cult is called NXIVM? Having kids is something you can usually never compromise on with a partner. If one person wants kids but the other doesn't, no one will end up happy. Yeah, that would stink. All right. Let's see. This one's about NXIVM. NXIVM. Interesting. Stargate is def sus. I don't trust anyone with ties to CIA, specifically with AI attached in the picture. Is that what it is, bro? Dude, I was gonna say it was like way too fast. I'm not even joking when I say it. Like, Trump got into office, and on day motherfucking one, he's like, we're looking to launch, like, just, it's not, like, there was no time to, like, stew or, like, take in his existence, but somehow, some way, he just, like, instantaneously is, like, integrated with some, like, long-term investment plan for, like, a teaming up of, like, every AI. Like, what? What is that about? I don't know. Something about it just smells extra fishy to me. It was way too fast, way too coordinated. He wants it all. I mean, listen, I get it. I get that, like, the general consensus is that Trump is a nani boo-boo poopy head who, like, only cares about himself. But, like, if you only think about things that way, it, like, kind of keeps you from seeing the forest from the tree, or the trees from the forest. You get the idea. It's like you have to sometimes think about that as, like, more of a presentation or a distraction within, like, the, you know, the magic show that's going on. Because sometimes everybody's, like, talking about him like they know him, you know what I mean? But we don't really know him. We don't know. We know what's presented in the media, but we don't truly know someone's intentions. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that they're, like, I really do feel like it just, like, operates more as a distraction from us, like, asking any sort of, like, objective questions. Like, what's the outcome? Joel Rogan. When I first heard about NX, motherfuck, I don't know, my brain is broken. When I first heard about NXIVM, or NXIVM, it was through a friend who had attended one of their executive success programs. She spoke glowingly about the personal development courses, the community, and how the teachings had changed her life. The promise of self-improvement, leadership skills, and the allure of being part of an elite group of thinkers and doers was intoxicating, really. I was at a point in my life where I felt directionless and eager for something that could provide both purpose and community. I attended my first NXIVM seminar. Dude, I can't get rid of my UK accent. Seminar. Notice how no one's talking about drones anymore? Yeah, there was like like just casually during one of those like press conferences, like Trump was like, yeah, Janet, can you actually go find out what those were? Thank you. Like you're just like sending your assistant to like walk outside with a fucking magnifying glass. Like, yeah, it was Chinese. It was Chinese. Oh, they were Chinese? Yeah, they were Chinese. Look Chinese. I had binoculars. I saw them. We do have a very short attention span. I think the most interesting thing I've come to find about our attention span is that even when we are hyper-focused on one thing for a long period of time, it makes very little of a difference, right? Like, we bitch about stuff, but like very seldom does like anything ever get accomplished by just like complaining over and over again extensively forever. It's annoying. It brings attention to it and therefore like impedes trust of perhaps like an agency's ability to accomplish goals later on. But like just sitting and bitching about it, it's almost like forgetting and moving on to the next thing is like, I don't know. It's really no different than just like looming on a particular topic forever. Because I mean, I don't know. So many people act like they're, oh, I'm so informed. I'm part of the news cycle. I am so part of the news cycle. Oh man, when I got on TikTok, I totally knew what to think about and what to consider and all the important issues. But no, you didn't really. Like all you're really doing by like being heavily involved in that stuff is just like biding your time till you're dead. You know, it's just like everyone else. It's just a form of escapism and entertainment, you know. Not to put you down or anything like that, you know, but I can analyze myself. That's how I feel. That's what I do when I sit there and stare at it. Like I get hit with a realization when I finally have a fucking moment of sober introspection. I'm like, what does it even matter? Who even gives a shit what my stupid opinion is about something? I don't do anything about it. I wouldn't even know where to start, you know? So it's just like, whatever. Rumination. Yeah. Which I think feeds into like, it almost, I feel like in many ways like the news cycle kind of like is like a weird type of like horror trauma, you know? It's almost like pounding your head with traumatic ideas of horror and potentialities that may or may not manifest, you know? I mean, because we've already seen how like the news media can, you know, is not to be trusted in many forms. And yet for some reason that in and of itself is more like the lack of attention span. I think that's actually one of the more embarrassing parts about most people is like their inability to have like pattern recognition. They're like, oh, I didn't trust the media when it told me this then, but now that it's like saying the thing that I want to hear right now and it's part of my in group, you know, now I trust it. And it's like, what are you talking about? It's the same one that told you that there were weapons of mass destruction, or it's the same ones that told you that there were terrorists around every fucking corner, and now you're on board with it? It just seems strange. I do only speak for myself. That's true. That is true. The 18-month attention span. Yeah, I mean, mine's like 5 seconds. All news media is a psyop. It would make you wonder, like, if you had unlimited resources, like resources to, like, I don't even know, control all things financially, control like research, maybe you like did develop like black hole time machine shit like that, wouldn't you also like want to focus on controlling like the output of information to the public and each an individual storyline that public then gets to see? And you know, you just can kind of also control that like Overton window as well, where there's a very rich and flavorful amount of debate within a very limited, you know, cooking pot. But you never get to taste all the other delicious stuff that is outside of that pot. I think you're wrong, but I only speak for me. I have reason to be depressed, but I refuse to do so. I don't really think... Like, I understand where you're coming from, I think, but the reason to be depressed, I'm not sure what that has to do with what we're talking about. Oh, you're talking to P. Oh, my bad, dude. Sorry, I feel like I can't ever tell context of what people are talking about. Thank you for everything. Listening to your stories every night to fall asleep. You're welcome. Good to see you. And honestly, that's all we can really do. Get good sleep. Honestly, 2025 needs to be the year of creativity, right? This needs to be the year of create-fucking-tivity. Like, no more sitting there passively absorbing state-ran narratives and bullshit that everybody else feeds down your throat and makes you feel like you need to, like, fit into some fucking confined space. You're just a fucking, you know, another ice cube in the tray that's going to be clicked out and thrown into my rum and coke. It's not happening this year. This year, you're going to take the things that you're interested in and you're going to be the content creator. You're going to be the one that tells people your thoughts and feelings. Will it happen or make a difference? I don't know. But it's going to be a lot more fucking fun than just sitting there and absorbing fucking Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl for the 9 trillionth time. I attended my first NXIVM seminar out of curiosity and was immediately drawn in by the sophisticated jargon, the sense of exclusivity, and the damn it. And the It's your 36th birthday, Andrew. Happy birthday, dude. I attended my first NXIVM seminar out of curiosity and was immediately drawn in by the sophisticated jargon, the sense of exclusivity, and the charismatic leadership of Keith Raniere. Damn it, I am so stupid. I did not. Did I hate coming across a random name? Sometimes names are like jump scares to me. Is it Raniere? How to say? Australia Azul, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. Thank you. You now have access to bonus content. Alright, sorry, I gotta look up this Dinglebat's name. Keith Raniere. Is it Raniere? I don't want to fuck it up.
Self-help organization described by federal prosecutors as cult-like. Keith Raniere has not spoken publicly.
Keith Raniere. Hell yeah, dude. Dude, he looks like a fucking cult leader. Dude, it blows my mind, honestly, that the people that were on Smallville were part of that cult. Like, it's just insane. You watch the show and just the whole time you're like, oh, sex cult. Sex cult show. I attended my first NXIVM seminar out of curiosity and was immediately drawn in by the sophisticated jargon, the sense of exclusivity, and the charismatic leadership of Keith Raniere. The courses were expensive but promised rapid personal growth, which seemed like a fair trade at the time. The workshops were intense, filled with long hours of introspective exercises, group discussions, and what they called ethical training. It all felt like a step towards becoming a better version of myself. Now, over time, I became more deeply involved, moving up through the ranks of their curriculum. I met many intelligent and successful people who seemed genuinely transformed by their experiences. I was part of a community that celebrated personal empowerment and seemed to shun conventional societal norms in favor of a more enlightened approach to life. The jargon, terms like ESP, Executive Success Programs, EM, Ethical Movement, and Vanguard for Raniere himself, gave us a sense of belonging to something special, almost like a secret society. The structure of NXIVM was intriguing too. It was hierarchical. The inner circles where you could move up by demonstrating loyalty, financial investment, and adherence to the teachings. There was always another level to achieve, another course to take, another way to strip away your limitations. This constant push for more was disguised as personal growth, but was really a tool for control, something I didn't fully grasp at the time. I recall the first time that I met Keith Raniere, or Vanguard as he was called by his followers, and he had this aura of omniscience, like he could. Also, Jim, if you type shift 2, it does the at, like the at somebody, you know what I mean? And then you can press the letter, which will be like P, and then you can space and then type your message and it will highlight to them if you want. He had this aura of omniscience, like he could see right through you to your core issues. His talks were mesmerizing, filled with philosophical insights and psychological tricks that seemed to elevate your understanding of the world. But looking back, they were also manipulative, designed to make you doubt yourself and rely on his guidance, and my perception only really began to shift when I was invited to join what was described as an even more elite group within NXIVM, called DOS. I was told it was a sorority for women committed to deeper levels of personal discipline and empowerment, led by women for women. The secrecy and the promise of an even higher level of personal evolution was intriguing, but the initiation into DOS was unlike anything I was experienced at NXIVM before. Wait, there's a buzz? Is there like a buzz? Someone was saying they heard something like my phone going off, but it's not. You don't hear anything? Okay, maybe I'm just creating false associations there. I'm hearing shit, man. No buzz. Ion hear it. Do you hear the ions, man? You have tinnitus. I got the tinnitus. Yeah, I guess I do have to turn off my butt plug. But the initiation into DOS was unlike anything I had experienced at NXIVM before. It was here that the facade began to crumble. I was asked to provide collateral, sensitive personal information or compromising photos as a sign of trust and commitment. This was justified as ensuring my dedication to the group's secrecy and my personal growth. The discomfort was immediate, but I was too deep in the NXIVM mindset to see it for what it was at first. The revelation came when I learned about the branding ceremony. Women weren't just committed to a group, they were being branded with a symbol that, unbeknownst to them at the time, was a combination of Keith Raniere's and his partner Allison Mack's initials. The branding was done under the guise of a sisterhood ritual, but the reality was far more sinister. It was a sign of ownership, a mark of slavery. I was horrified. The realization that what I thought was an empowerment group was actually a front for a master-slave dynamic, and it was shattering. Women were expected to follow commands from their masters, which included sexual servitude. Women were expected to follow commands from their masters, which included intimate servitude, extreme dieting, and absolute obedience. The women were not just controlled, they were manipulated into believing that they were in control of their choices while being stripped away of their agency. The cognitive dissonance was overwhelming. Here I was, thinking I was part of a movement towards enlightenment, only to find out that I was on the brink of being drawn into a cult where human rights were being egregiously violated. I felt betrayed, not just by the leaders, but by the system that I had begun to trust so deeply. And what made it even more chilling was the realization that many of the women in DOS were not just victims, but also enforcers of this system. They had been indoctrinated into believing. I've been falling asleep to you since like 18K in 2016. That's crazy. 18K 2016. Do you think anything's changed on the channel for the negative or for the positive? Like, how do you have any suggestions? Why aren't there any women cult leaders? I think there is in South Korea. There was like this big thing where like a matriarchal cult was like actually running the presidency or something. Do you guys remember that? Let me look it up real quick. Was there a matriarchal cult in South Korea? Question mark. Yes, there was a prominent religious group in South Korea that could be described as having matriarchal or matrilineal elements in its structure. The most notable example is the Cheondogyo Heavenly Way religion and its offshoots or other spiritual movements that incorporate elements of traditional Korean shamanism. While not strictly matriarchal, Korean shamanism, also known as Muism, often places significant religious and spiritual authority in women known as Mudang shaman. These women play certain central roles in mediating between humans and the spirit world. In modern history, some religious movements led by women or emphasizing female spiritual leadership gained attention. For example, Park Gwan-hai or Cho Soon-sil scandal. While not a matriarchal cult per se, the influence of Choi Soon-sil, a confidant of former South Korean President Park Geun-hye, was rooted in the Choi's family connection to a religious group led by Cho Tae-min. Cho Tae-min combined elements of Christianity, Buddhism, and shamanism. In his teachings, his daughter, Choi Soon-sil, continued to exert significant influence, highlighting a gendered aspect of spiritual and mythical power. Christian offshoots and female leadership. Some newer Christian-based groups in South Korea have been led by women, drawing on both Western and traditional Korean influences. These groups sometimes emphasize the divine feminine aspect or grant significant spiritual authority to women leaders. Are there any women-led cults throughout time? Looks like Anne Lee, 1736 to 1784, The Shakers, United Society of Believers in Christ's Second Appearing. Anne Lee, an Englishwoman, led the Shaker movement after claiming to have visions from God. She taught celibacy, communal living, and gender equality within the community. Notable features. Followers believe that she was the female embodiment of Christ. The movement expanded in the United States in the late 18th century. Mother Ann Taves, 19th century. During the spiritualist movement in 19th century America and Europe, many women like Ann Taves rose to prominence as mediums. While not all groups were strictly cults, some had secretive practices and tightly controlled communities. Yeah, looks like there's a lot of them. There's a crazy cult in Brazil. I think she was like a granny lady and that had men killing people. It was crazy. Oh, like killing for her. They also had that chick that died from silver poisoning. She was a cult leader that used YouTube to spread the message. Okay. Man, I guess just when we get bored, we just create cults, you know? Just to give life more meaning. But then you play Fortnite and it all makes sense. Can I yell something? No. It would hurt your ears. You would bleed from every orifice. I know. Every woman cult is freaking celibacy. Fuck that shit. Alright. They had been indoctrinated into believing that this was part of a noble cause, and their own status within the hierarchy depended on how well they could control others. This created a cycle of abuse where victims became victimizers, all under the banner of personal growth. And my exit from NXIVM was not easy. The psychological grip was strong, and there was the ever-looming threat of my collateral being exposed. But I managed to leave, thanks in part to supportive friends outside the organization who helped me see the reality of my situation. The aftermath was a period of intense reflection and recovery. I had to rebuild my sense of self, my trust in others, and understand how I had been so thoroughly deceived. This experience left a very profound impact on me. It taught me to be wary of where the path to self-improvement might lead, especially when it demands secrecy, blind loyalty, and the surrender of personal autonomy. It was a harsh lesson in the importance of critical thinking and the dangers of charismatic leadership unchecked by accountability. Looking back, I see how NXIVM used the guise of empowerment to exploit vulnerabilities and manipulate minds, controlling lives as well. Oh, need a good brainwashing. Same, dude. Only a 300+ pound, 5-foot lady can be our leader. Then off to Mexico we go. We are looking for our matriarch, our matriarch. Looking back, I see how NXIVM used the guise of power to exploit vulnerabilities and manipulate minds, even control lives. The allure of belonging to something greater, the promise of transformation, and the manipulation through psychological techniques were all tools in the hands of those who sought to do one and one thing alone: dominate. Tay Swifty, we submit to you. Tay Swift. Dude, it's so interesting on it. It's actually really fascinating that no matter what, like, social media post is posted with even a mild amount of opposition to Tay Swift, whether, I think one of the more prominent sort of criticisms is her, you know, criticizing people about their carbon emissions or whatever the fuck. And then she literally, like, takes a plane to, like, fly 4 miles, you know, like across town and shit like that. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. But it's just always funny, like, without fail, you will have one of her acolytes in the comments fucking defending her. The queen. The untouchable queen. Well, I'll tell you what. Your queen sure got a lot of... never mind. Alright guys, thanks for hanging out today. I'm going to read the outro script here. You guys got to think of something funny for me to say. Da 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 da. Taylor Swifty, Swifty, Swift. It's crazy all the witchcraft that she has done to help Patrick Mahomes from ever getting touched on the field. Wasn't there a couple in Mexico that tricked some locals to believe that they were gods and did cannibalism among sacrifices? I think so. I remember reading something about that. Pretty freaking crazy if you ask me. We just get bored, man. We just get bored and start eating each other. You know what I was thinking, though? I joked about this before, right? And this was years ago, but I used to say, like, I worry. People always talk about the CIA or, Mossad or fucking the Epstein bullshit where, like, there's blackmail and you got blackmail on all the important people. But what about, like, giving those really important, like, billionaires and stuff, like, hallucinogenics, is that right? Basically LSD and shit like that to, like, brainwash them or, like, manipulate the manner in which they see reality. Because I'm almost 100% certain that fucking Elon Musk was on a lot of drugs when he was at that inauguration. Did you guys see those? Like, he looked like he was fucking flying high on some sort of Molly, some sort of fucking... Maybe he was just stoked. Maybe he was just stoked that he finally gets rid of all the regulations for his rockets. And now he can build the big monorail to turn fucking California into a dystopian nightmare. But, I mean, think about that. The quote-unquote richest man in the world is under the influence of many things. And I just wonder to what extent that would lead to maybe some negative outcomes. Or potentially some strange beliefs. I definitely know for a fact that if he gets his ass to Mars, there is a cult. There is going to be the cult of Elon Musk to follow out of that. He's going to be like, him and Grimes are going to be fucking like Adam and Eve of Mars. I don't think it's just the tism. I think it's something more. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and there are super fun live streams every Sunday and Wednesday night. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over at my email, letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and you might even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories and big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, it's all witchcraft. Get a good brainwashing. I would totally join a cult led by Snagglepuss. Hey everyone, how about everyone starts to get naked right now? Right the frick now. Alright guys, love you, appreciate you, thanks for hanging out. I'll be back this weekend for another stream, probably Sunday. But hit that notification bell to catch me when I go live. Follow me on Instagram at letsread.official. To be let known when I go live in case this one doesn't work. And yeah, I'll be sure to get this up on Patreon as soon as possible. It's only $1 a month over there. And if you became a member tonight, be sure to check out the members only playlist to check out the new bonus content we just released. Some real good shit. Who knows? Yeah, maybe even we'll finish up the DLC for Little Nightmares 1 on a gaming stream this weekend. But we will have to see how social I feel like being. But love you guys, appreciate you. Stay well, treat each other well. I know sometimes the world can feel like a rough place out there, but hey, you were built to survive and thrive, and you will win if you keep fighting. All right, see ya later, dudes.